proving that the Fandom Menace isn't just toxic white males. It's toxic femininity brought to you by Midnight's Edge.
It's Monday night. Do you know where your chitlins are? They should be in bed, and you should be watching us here on Midnight's Edge. It's toxic femininity. Don't you remember those? It's 9 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?
You know what I used to say was, it's 9 o'clock. Do you know where your pants are?
That too would be a good question. We are here. We are back. We are live. We are missing a member, Alora. She is busy for the next couple weeks. So tonight, sitting in for her, we have Christy. Say hello, Christy.
Hello.
And to her would be left, I think, we have Lorena Creole. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Tom. How's everybody doing? I'm glad to be here with everyone.
Peachy keen as a jelly bean. And last but not least, our hostess with the mostest, the biggest Twinkie on YouTube, Mary Mayhem.
I love how Chris, you just squeaked out like, hi.
Hi.
You guys.
Oh, don't let her fool you.
I'm shadowy tonight. It's weird. I feel bizarre.
She is obsessed with it.
I don't like the lighting in here.
But
I
she
really
looks beautiful regardless.
Good Lord. And we have another guest coming along shortly. Kamran Pasha will be joining us. You may have seen him recently on Friday Night Tights. I think we had him on High Council and here and there and everywhere. Jeremy had him on Geeks+Gamers. So yeah, check. So he'll be checking in here shortly. Other than that, how have you ladies been doing? We'll start with you, Mary. How's your week been?
Dude, shit's been crazy. Okay, so like I moved this week, and that's me being super paranoid about the whole lighting and everything because I just got this all set back up, and it's been a really bizarre week. And I gotta hand it to you, Tom. I woke up today and I was like, "Fuck, toxic femininity," and I'm like running around with my hair. I'm like, "Fuck, I gotta find topics," yeah. And Tom's like, "I got this. We are here." And I was like, I want to give you a lollipop and say thank you. I just want you to know
I like blue ones.
how grateful I am right now.
I'm glad he did because I forgot Cameron was going to be on this week too. And I'm like, oh shoot, let me try to find some stuff to kind of help out.
I was so not ready for today, and then Tom just came in clutch. And nobody said a word. Like he just fucking flew and he was like fucking Superman, cop with a cape, right? Like it was great.
He's just like, I got this.
It was wonderful.
Oh.
Lollipops are the best, Greg. I agree with you.
Orange are good too, but I like the blue ones if they're the blueberry.
You are wrong. You should get a minimum effort puppy.
Our guest is in the green room, so I will be bringing him in shortly. But before we do that, I just want to ask Lorena how the beautiful Lorena is doing.
Hey,
how are you doing?
Everyone, I'm doing good. Getting excited about going to Universal Orlando next month, but not too excited that I may be recommended to quarantine once I get back. So yeah, but
is
so
that what your state's doing?
Yeah, right now they're recommending it, which kind of sucks because they pretty much put the whole southern seaboard on that list, and so many people from Philly freaking go there the last 3 weeks of August. You know, so
can I go with you?
So,
yeah, please.
if you can pack in my suitcase, I mean, my hotel reservation is still active.
I'm pretty short. I might fit in a carry-on. Like if I
just fold up real good, you know. But yeah, I'm excited. I haven't been to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter since they first opened it, so I'm very excited about going back.
Oh, girl, you gotta go when you're there. Hold on. While you're there, you need to get a wand. You know, you need to go get yourself a wand.
I'm going to Ollivander's. Yes. I'm going this time.
Put your toys away.
Stop it.
Don't be bringing that shit out online. While you're putting your toys away, Christy, welcome to Toxic Femininity. How are you doing?
I was about to put in the private chat. Sorry if I'm quiet. It's my internet being spunky again.
We know your internet's being funky. So other than your internet being funky, how's your week been?
I am well. Thank you for inviting me back again. I was like, sure, I don't have nothing else to do.
Christy's
And with
my
us
twinsy.
is Mr. Kamran Pasha. How are you doing?
Hey, Cameron.
everyone. See, I'm finding with all these beautiful women. All the dudes are off. Oh, there's one dude. I can deal with one dude.
Oh, don't worry. I'll leave in just
But
a
I don't have
minute.
to
Trust
see
me.
his face, so that's fine.
Cameron, of course, as I said before, you may have seen in recent interviews and on Friday Night Tights, hanging out with us and stuff like that. And he's also an author and you're a screenwriter, right? Is that what you call it?
Screenwriter, director, all that stuff.
Screenwriter, director as well. Yeah, that's right. So you've done all kinds of stuff, and you also know a few people here and there. So we're going to talk to you about that. We'll take some questions from the chat, send in some super chats and whatnot. And we'll collect those after we talk a little bit about the news that dropped. You ladies ready to get into the news so I can leave you alone with this handsome young man?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Armageddon, guys. So I don't know how much Cameron has to add on this particular subject, but we did have some pretty, well, I suppose it depends on how you feel about it. Some certainly some Star Wars news drop for us today. The Bad Batch. If you watch the final season of Clone Wars, is going to be a spin-off series of the Clone Wars. So the Bad Batch, it's essentially a group. There we go. There's the article from Deadline. It's a group of clones from the series that kind of like have mutations that are advantageous for their jobs, for their skill sets or whatever. And I liked the Bad Batch. I did. I truly enjoyed it. I thought that it was a good little run inside of everything. And I will agree with some of my esteemed comrades here within the YouTube Star Wars genre that it's the Clone Wars stuff is typically, or the clones in the Clone Wars is typically some of the best stuff, right? Even though I loved Ahsoka, genuinely loved Ahsoka, I would say the clones are some of the best stuff, and Bad Batch was no exception for that. In fact, I would say it was some of the better clone stuff that I saw. They're going to be doing a spin-off on it. So let's go ahead and we'll run through this. You watched it today, didn't you, Laura? Or Lorena, did you?
I did. And honestly, what struck with me is that one guy looks like an Intel nerd. The other guy looks like freaking Schwarzenegger muscle. And the third guy looks like freaking Sylvester Stallone from Rambo.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
That's how, so that's how it is in my brain. So yeah, I did watch that episode today.
Yes. So we'll jump back into our opinions here. We'll give you the quick rundown for it and give you the kind of details on what it is that we're expecting here from this. So Disney Plus has ordered the next Lucasfilm animated series, Star Wars: The Bad Batch, with a premiere set for 2021. We'll see how that goes with the dreaded beer bug running around. We'll see how that goes. So, but that's when it's set for as it stands. So Clone Wars architect and The Mandalorian executive producer and director Dave Filoni will return for Bad Batch as executive producer alongside Athena Portillo, Star Wars: The Clone Wars, Star Wars Rebels, and Brad Rouse, Star Wars Rebels, Star Wars Resistance. Jennifer Corbett, Star Wars Resistance, and NCIS, with Carrie Beck, The Mandalorian, Star Wars Rebels, as co-executive producer, and Josh Rhimes as producer. Rao is also serving as supervising director, with Corbett as head writer. The series follows the elite and experimental clones of the Bad Batch, first introduced in the Clone Wars, this past the final season of Clone Wars. Members of Bad Batch, a unique squad of clones who vary genetically from their brothers in the Clone Army. Each possesses a singular exceptional skill, which makes them extraordinarily effective soldiers and a formidable crew. In the post-Clone War era, they will take on daring mercenary missions as they struggle to stay afloat and find new purpose. Giving new and existing fans the final chapter of Star Wars: The Clone Wars has been our honor at Disney Plus, and we are overjoyed by the global response to the landmark series, says Agnes Chu, Senior Vice President, Content, Disney Plus. So while the Clone Wars may have come to its conclusion, our partnership with the groundbreaking storytellers and artists at Lucasfilm Animation is only beginning. We are thrilled to bring Dave Filoni's vision to life through the next adventures of Bad Batch. So short and sweet, nothing too crazy here, unless, of course, if you saw the Bad Batch in the Clone Wars, you would know pretty good story arc, right? I don't know if you saw it, Cameron.
I did not, unfortunately. I haven't seen the final season yet of Clone Wars, but I've heard some very positive reviews of it. But
Yes.
I will say this: from what I'm hearing, with rumors of town, this is part of the entire process of trying to get Star Wars back on track. I mean, they figured out that Clone Wars was the smartest thing they've done in a while until The Mandalorian came around. And when they say in that article that the Clone Wars has concluded, well, the point is the Clone Wars haven't concluded. You're taking these characters from the Clone Wars. You've got these particular clones that are enhanced. And there's a chance now to bring other characters from the Clone Wars. You can bring Ahsoka back into this world. It's a continuation of the timeline. So I think this is a really good sign.
I certainly think it's an enthusiastic sign. And we have a little bit of feedback. I can't tell who that is. Has everybody got headphones in? Let me turn my phone down. It could just be me. I'm half retarded. So
It's not me.
I know. Tom's not here.
Is it me?
I think it's gone. It might have been me. It could have been. So I turned it down. Oh, nope. Still going. Nope. Chrissy muted. All right. I think we're good.
It wasn't me.
So I will be the first to admit I love Star Wars Clone Wars. It is one of my favorite aspects of Star Wars. I felt like it was one of those shows that really delved into what went down and gave you a good sense of the relationship between Anakin and Obi-Wan Kenobi, because when they said that they were like brothers, as far as the movies go, the prequels, and I'm not bashing the prequels, I have a lot of love for them, although I get the critique. I felt like the Clone Wars did a really good job of filling in that gap there, right? And oh God, Cameron, I swear I don't hate everything to hate everything. I swear I don't hate everything to hate everything.
I love the prequels, and I've actually come to I love 2 and 3. And I was mediocre on 1, but after The Last Jedi, I'm like, 1's great, man. I'll watch that again and again. Put on 1. Put on episode 1. After The Last Jedi, I'm like, I love it.
Can I just say, as someone who didn't really get into the Clone Wars at all, and the Bad Batch was an interesting episode, I just kind of worry that they're going to basically make this the Expendables in the Star Wars universe. That's what comes to my mind when
I'll
I
bet
hear
you
this.
they pitched it exactly that way in house, or like what was it I'm blanking on the Great Phil, the Dirty Dozen, right? That kind of thing.
Yeah, because all the characters fit just with the way that they look. You're like, it's this stereotype: the intel guy, the muscle guy, the commando guy. They're just like they're all there.
I actually don't mind bringing a concept like that into Star Wars. My concern is that this is being done to death for me, and not that I don't love the Clone Wars. I do love the Clone Wars. I love Ahsoka. I love Asajj Ventress. I love these stories. I love these characters. I'm pretty familiar with Star Wars, and you have thousands of stories in an entire expanded universe that's basically untapped at this point. And we keep going back to this same sort of 30-year time frame, not even 30 years, right? We just really, the Clone Wars is all kind of meshed into like a pretty 5-7 years. It's a really small time frame here that we're working with it, and we keep going back to that. And there are so many stories, and it feels very safe. I don't feel like this is a bad idea, but I feel like this is a side dish. This is the coleslaw sitting next to the potential fried chicken that I really want.
Mary, you're exactly right. This is a safe thing. That's what I've been hearing, that this is all part of the strategy, because they tried the unsafe stuff with bad ideas with the new sequel trilogy and all this other stuff they were playing with. And now they're like, let's just get the fans back. Let's get them Clone Wars. People seem to like that. That's working. That's why they're bringing Ahsoka Tano into The Mandalorian. They're really scared. They've been burned really badly by their own dumb thing. I mean, had they not screwed up the next period after the first trilogy, then we would have been able to keep expanding. But they screwed it up.
Cameron, question just to ask: do you think that it may also have to do with finances as well?
Sure. Disney is in financial trouble.
Right.
All of Hollywood is in financial trouble due to the current events, right? But Disney more so than the other studios, because a lot of its revenue comes from these parks and these ships and everything else that have just been shut down, and now they're slowly reopening. But there's been massive economic hit to Disney, more so than they expected, and now they've got to be able to control things. One of the points I think, Mary, you made earlier is whether the current events, the current V word that we're dealing with, is going to keep this from coming out in 2021. It's animated. So the good thing is people don't have to be in a room together. They can independently do their voices through some kind of modulated system, right? In other, in different places, and still do it. And animators can be in different places and still. I mean, I worked on an animation on Tron, so you don't have to all be in the room together. It's harder in live action.
Right. Well, that's a great point, actually, not something I necessarily considered. I don't know. I don't know how this works for people. Like, how do you do that from home? How do you record? I mean, I do this from home, and I sound like shit half the time. So I'm like, but I do imagine that you could.
They've got very expensive equipment. That
right.
And they'll put it into the actor's home, or they'll bring the actors into a large studio and separate them to the extent that they're going to do that. I mean, I have been of the opinion that over the next few months, people are going to quietly start ignoring the rules because they're just very hard to work around. And they've got to publicly in Hollywood keep saying, everyone wear a mask, everyone keep this distance. Privately, they're going to start ignoring the rules just because they got to get stuff done.
I'm being tempted by the audience right now. I have to do it. They demand it. All right, there we go.
Oh my God.
Dolphin Mary.
By the audience.
Well, okay. I didn't see that coming. I didn't expect that.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay, there's the dolphin.
Hey, look at his face.
No.
Look at your face. He's like, what is going on?
And considering you live in LA, dude, and to make that face, that's something.
There's always strange stuff happening in LA, and you just go with it. I haven't seen the dolphin head yet. Now,
the joke being that I laugh like a dolphin, and so I've been.
How do dolphins laugh? I'm unfamiliar with this.
I can't do it on cue. It's.
I will say something funny, and we'll trigger it. Okay.
Right. Benton! Oh, Jesus Christ. Benton!
You did that shit on purpose.
Yes, you know he did.
I mean, it's funny.
I will not be a pawn in your game, Tom. I will not. No, leave me alone.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
It did. Taking it down. Leave me alone, people. I completely lost track of what we were talking about.
We were talking about the Clone War. I'm sorry, this new animated show, and whether it's going to be easier to perhaps do this because of the current situation.
Right.
Animation can be easier because you can be physically separate.
I'm completely good with a safe choice, right? I am. And I don't begrudge this show. I really don't begrudge this show. I think that it's perfectly acceptable for them to put something like this out there. But like I was saying earlier, I feel like this is like the coleslaw, right? The reheated macaroni and cheese it's still good, but you've been eating it for 4 nights straight and you're a little over it. And so
we've just been eating filth and garbage for the last 4 or 5 years. So I think after that, macaroni and cheese sounds pretty good. And then we'll get to steak eventually. It
certainly is comparatively speaking, absolutely. And I did like the Bad Batch. And of course, now that I do have some hesitation there. Some of the lead people on this are people who worked on the Resistance stuff, and I have no love for that whatsoever. So I have some hesitation. But like I said, I one of my favorite aspects of Clone Wars has always been the clone stories, right? And their interaction with the Jedi, and this sort of quest to give them personal identities, personal agency in this universe that would, in many ways, try to deprive them of that because they're just clones, right?
Well, you just hit, Mary, a very interesting thing that was, for me, a subtext of the original movies and of the Clone Wars, which is the Jedi thought they were such good people. They've created a slave army of these clones who they're depriving individuality to. That's immoral. And the fact they didn't realize that was immoral shows how disconnected they were from the Force. These were good people. They thought they were.
Just to kind of add to that discussion, because I'm not a regular watcher of the Clone Wars, watching the Bad Batch, I did pick up on that, Mary. Like the clones not being exact duplicates of one another, just having distinct personalities and what they would call flaws, we would basically call humanity. So that part actually was interesting to me. And and how they interacted with the Jedi, but the clones being different, the different ones, that's the part that stuck out.
Well, there's more nuance than that. There's more nuance. So if you watch
I've only got one.
If you watch Clone Wars, you begin to understand that it's not Sypha Dyas who did this under other. This wasn't the Jedi. The Jedi weren't the ones that set these.
Yeah, but they went along with it. They said, "We'll take it. We'll go
along with it," because they didn't really know what else to do. Oh my God, Tom!
I don't see that. I don't see that.
Wow.
And they went
Wow.
along with it because they didn't know what else to do. But within the Clone Wars itself, literally from get-go, Yoda is the one who impresses on these clones from the very get-go that they are valuable, that they have worth, that they're individuals. So I think
These
the very
people,
first
the ideas of the Force. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the Force works in everyone, right? And so they do this really wonderful sort of arc where you get to see them as more than just identical copies one of the other, right? Like you get to know these as individual, you've got just an absolute plethora, and you watch many of them die, and you get your heart ripped out over and over again with this show. And so I don't begrudge the clone stories, and the Bad Batch it's got an interesting springboard to work from here, and I think it can be good. I hope it can be good, but I am so tired of going back to the same well, and it does sometimes feel as though Dave Filoni is this sort of one-trick pony. And I'm getting to the point where I don't want to hate this thing that I love because it keeps getting force-fed to me. So I hope that in addition to something like The Bad Batch, that they will bring in a Jon Favreau who has clear passion for what it is that he's doing, even though we'll get into some of that later, I'm sure.
And they can, because it's set after the Clone Wars. The whole point that they stated in that press release about now they can look for new missions. That's great. Now we can explore parts of the galaxy we haven't thought about. We can maybe look into the underworld elements of it, all these things, right? And start expanding storylines with these people who are now looking for, what do I do with my life, right?
Yeah, we'll have to see where it goes. I'm cautiously optimistic.
Are you still alive, Christy?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, just checking.
You look so pretty.
I know. Does it look great?
Well, you got to remember. You got to remember. I'm not the biggest Star Wars person with the Clone Wars, but I will go back to what Lorena said. When I do watch it with the Batch and who is it? 5, I think his story arc. If that's familiar, Mary.
Hold on, say that for me one more time, Boo.
5, in the Clone Wars. No, the one of the clones. His name was 5.
Fives. His name was Fives.
Fives.
Yeah.
But
I
watched that. I liked watching that a lot better because I was just like, and that's my cat. And if you hear a meow in the background, that I liked watching that a lot better versus anything else. So target audience right here for normie wise. And
For me, oh, sorry, Chris, you can finish up.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, even for me, as much as I love Star Wars, I could not get into the Clone Wars, and I tried 3 times, and every time I'd start with episode 1, season 1, I'd fall asleep. It wouldn't grab me. Now, the Bad Batch did grab me, but here's my thing. I hope they do a good job with it. I keep seeing the Expendables in the Star Wars universe. Not that that's a bad thing, but it's how good of a story is it? Is it going to be enough to sustain a series? Is the pilot going to be good enough to be able to get people like me and people like Christy to actually watch beyond that first pilot? And that's kind of
what I did with Andrew and drag you through it via the Scener app. Just be like, we're watching this, Lorena. This is happening.
You're gonna have to load me up with a lot of freaking alcohol then.
This is happening, Lorena. Get to the series actually gets better as you go. So it's got kind of a slow start. It's not all in order either. So we may have to kind of push you through the first 2 or 3 seasons, and then it really does pick up. It really does. Okay. There's some stuff there at the end, girl. You're missing out. You are missing out on some seriously wonderful Star Wars.
I hear it, but it's kind of like Twilight. I don't know if I want to go there, but there
are no sparkly vampires. Okay.
Girl, Twilight, you bring up Twilight.
I was joking. I haven't seen that and don't want to. And it just happened to be suggested to me on Amazon on a Fire Stick TV. I'm like, what the heck? I haven't even watched this crap.
Whatever. We know.
Just remember, the author of Twilight is a billionaire. He's a billionaire.
Hey, Lorena, if you want me to, if you have a P.O. box, I can send you all the books and stuff that I got from my niece. And now she's too old to have them, so she sent them back to me. So you can have them if you want them.
No. No. No, I know. But yeah, I'll have to force my way through watching it, but it just didn't. So I just really, it's kind of like wait and see. I'm kind of like cautiously optimistic. We'll see what happens with it. But again, like for people like me, for people like Christy who aren't really into the Clone Wars, they're going to have to really swing for the fences when they start with this.
Yeah, and look, it took some time to get the steam rolling on Clone Wars initially, right? So it wasn't like this was some massive hit right off the bat. In fact, when the movie came out, we were all like, oh, this is stupid as fuck, right? Like we all hated Ahsoka. We collectively thought she was a pain in the ass, right? So it took some time. And I mean, I suppose it depends on, like you said, it may need to just grab you. And some people are a little more patient with it. I consider myself a little more patient with Star Wars content. I tend to be willing to roll with it and watch it even if it doesn't grab me right away, just because it's Star Wars. And so that's just sort of my take on it. I would hope that it would grab us. But like I said, as cautiously optimistic as I am for this and as willing as I am to give it a chance.
There's a lot of grabbing going on here.
That's on you, Tom. I can hear the buzzing.
You've said it like 20 fucking times.
Well, you know. What am I even supposed to say to that?
It is what it is. Tell them, don't hate the player, hate the game. Let's go.
All this dolphin love going around. Crazy bastards.
Oh, give him back that freaking dolphin. Fine.
No, I didn't mean that, but you know.
Anywho, I don't know. I would like to see, and I don't know how familiar. Are you familiar at all with the expanded universe, Cameron?
Yeah, I've read a lot of the books.
Okay.
I'm not like OG Star Wars, but I've read enough to really enjoy it.
Okay. So, like, I mean, but there are thousands of stories that they can dive into. I wanted, and this was prior to the debacle of sort of the sequel trilogy and the mess that was, you know, Solo, and I actually even was quite okay with Rogue One. I really wanted.
I like Rogue One.
Rogue One was
okay. Rogue One was fine. I felt like it was a
okay
movie with a phenomenal ending. You know, like
the last 20 minutes of Rogue One was great. The rest of it, even I was like, I don't know.
Well, I think of those movies, everything that Disney has done, I think of as fan fiction. And I think Rogue One is good fan fiction. Everything else is bad fan fiction. And I haven't watched Solo, but I understand it's sort of mediocre fan fiction.
It's yeah. I wanted my $2 back in my loyalty points for seeing Solo.
Oh my god, it was
like
$2.
$2 because I had loyalty points, and because Solo had just come out, they had to upcharge me a premium. So instead of seeing it for free, I had to pay $2. Wow. And I came out of that theater and I wanted my freaking $2 back.
You paid $2
and my loyalty
You
points.
paid $2.01 too much.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I saw Solo before I saw The Last Jedi.
Okay.
Really?
Okay.
Wow.
Solo still sucks. I
Yes.
don't care what anybody says. I'm so
Yes.
sick of this. It was okay. It wasn't that.
No,
it was
Solo
fucking
freaking-
horrible.
Solo freaking sucked. And I came home after watching Solo and I said, okay, I didn't get to see The Last Jedi. This Solo thing must be a one-off. No.
I disagree.
No.
I didn't feel like Solo was the worst thing ever. Now there were some really bad parts to it.
I watched that before The Last Jedi, but I mean
Maybe, but no, the way him and Chewie meet, stupid. The way he gets his name, stupid.
It doesn't
He
have
has the
stupid
same
ass
exact arc he has in Star Wars, which is stupid. He should be left as a bitter, grizzled, pissed off guy at women. That makes more sense.
I agree. I just don't think it was the worst thing ever.
Oh, and he started the rebellion, folks. Isn't that great?
and Pando Lando. Don't get me started on that.
Oh,
going
don't
back,
even, yeah.
And going back to Pando, you know, they weren't even unique with that. There was that book in the expanded universe where they introduced Shizor, and he was banging his assassin droid, so he was already into that. He had that hot blonde assassin droid, and they're like, "Yeah, I banged her, whatever. I'm over it. I'm just going to kill people." And you're like, "Wait a minute!" I was like, "Did I just read that?"
Nobody wants that.
So bad from an expanded universe.
I do
Wow.
have qualms. I do have qualms with L3 now being the Falcon for all time. That's a problem for me. That's a big problem for me. L3 does not need to be the Falcon. I didn't need the Falcon's navigation system explained.
Well, from what having not seen the film, but having read quite a bit about it, from what I understand, isn't that the ultimate punishment you could give to that whole
Yes!
robot droid that wants to be free and forever download into this machine against its will?
When are we going to free the Falcon? Hashtag free the Falcon. Holy shit.
I mean, I don't even know why you would do that, because the Falcon has its own personality that there's no computer talking the Falcon, even like R2, but it has a vibe to it, the Falcon. So why do you need to? I don't know how this other droid.
3PO says it has the most peculiar dialect.
I'm sorry. Oh,
doesn't 3PO say it has the most peculiar dialect or whatever? Yeah,
that's it. So that's it. It's because this droid that they did all this nonsense to make that line make sense.
No, it wasn't necessary.
No, they did that so when he goes, "Hold together," you hear me, old girl? That makes sense, I guess.
Baby, hold together.
You hear me, baby, hold together. Yeah.
Holy shit balls. All right, hold on. I'm done.
I just need one more Colt 45 and we're good to go.
They did him wrong. They did him wrong.
They so dope.
You know what I would have liked to have seen was a Asajj Ventress spinoff. I could have done that. That was something that could have. I would have been really hard into something like that. I think.
Well, maybe she'll show up in this new cartoon. Like I said, in this new thing, Asajj Ventress is an incredible character with this complex arc, right? Who's scary, she's sexy, she's interesting, she's bad, she's good. It's all there. I want to see more of her, like you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could have gone for a bit more Asajj Ventress. I could have done without the Darth Maul stuff in the Clone Wars. I understand the fans brought about blah blah blah, and I
understand that they stuffed that in desperately at the end.
Yeah,
it's one of the mini reshoots. Like, we got to give them some fan service. Or Darth Maul, let's bring him back.
It didn't feel natural. It didn't feel cohesive. It didn't feel like it was something that would have happened organically. So it doesn't make any fucking sense why Darth Maul is wandering around. We saw him cut in half, but okay.
Yeah, that was Yeah, I like that.
I gotta ask. I mean, how does Darth Maul go to the bathroom after he was cut in half?
That's a great fucking question.
Maybe their organs are different because they're obviously not human.
Well, so the mother Talmud, she gave him new legs or whatever, but they were like robotic. So he's like a cyborg at this point.
He was cut at the waist, though.
It's exactly at the waist. So you have this question now of like, because I've never asked these questions before about cyborgs. I guess because I've never had to like deal with the very specific cutoff point of where it began to be a cyborg, right? I've never asked the question before, how does it go to the bathroom? But it's a pretty natural question at this point. It's like, well, everybody poops. So.
I mean, every creature excretes, as far as we know, in the galaxy. So,
yeah, some way, somehow.
I've never seen anybody poop in Star Wars.
One of the books talks about that.
I don't care about the books.
One of the books says that Darth Vader, let's just say it all burned off, and so he's got all kinds of machines to help him get it done.
He did in the pot.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
Nobody poops in Star Wars. You guys are making shit
whatever.
up.
There's bantha poodoo everywhere. Jar Jar keeps stepping
Damn it, you're right.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
That's one of the favorite swear words in Star Wars, poodoo.
I will cancel myself. Get to super.
Okay, yeah. We do have some super chats. We got some super chats.
People send you money. You gotta make them happy.
Yes. Gotta do that.
I'll kick us off here if you want, and then we'll go around here, Lorena, and you can pick us up. And if you want to, Chrissy, are you seeing the private chat here?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you want, you can pick up the third, and we'll just go in rotation here, a little clockwise. So Culture Casino for $1.49 with a Doomacorn. Doom. I love the Doomacorns. So thank you so much, Culture Casino, for this super sticker. We appreciate the hell out of you. You're amazing.
And next we have that's true, they don't. And next we have Robert Levito, who sends $20. No message, but thank you for the $20. We surely do appreciate it. Thanks for being here tonight.
Is Willie's the next one?
Culture Casino for $2.
Okay, because I didn't see the other two. I didn't. So
I didn't hear yet. I'll grab it then. Culture Casino for $2 says, "Hail to the hottest panel on YouTube and Tom."
Okay, so I will get the one that I see next.
Thank you.
Okay. We have Willie again for another $5. Here you go, ladies. Sadly, my thirstiness shows no bounds.
I'm good with it.
Next
Can I do one? Let me do one.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, you can do it. Absolutely.
Yeah, I can see some of them. The next one that I see is Terminus Est, $5. If Filoni shoehorns Ahsoka all over the show so as to overshadow the main male characters, we may as call it the bad biatch. Okay.
It depends. It depends on what Filoni wants to do with it. I love Ahsoka, but have definitely had my fill, and she does seem to be shoehorned into a lot of different things. So Filoni, please stop being a one-trick pony. And if you're going to go with these new characters, and we'll call them new characters because despite the fact that the clones have a precedent or whatever, they are individuals, and the show has established that. So if you want to go with these new characters, let the show focus on the new characters and stop shoehorning Ahsoka into absolutely everything. Please.
Can I tell you my opinion? I think that this is all coming straight up from Iger. I think, from what I've heard,
he doesn't know shit about Star Wars either.
He doesn't. He's a merchandise guy.
From what I've heard, Iger heavily, that J.J. Abrams' original version of Episode 9 was radically different. You had this other villain that came out of the Clone Wars that I think was based on the Son, and he's like, I don't know who this guy is. Well, nobody's gonna know who this guy is, and he just said, bring back the Emperor. And I think that's what's happening. It's like they're probably trying to pitch some stuff. He's like, yeah, just bring Ahsoka. Bring the clone. That's what I know. Just bring
you
those
would
guys.
have had a large fan base who would have loved to have seen the Son take place as the villain in this. In fact, I'd heard rumors floating around that he was going to be the villain back before it came out. In fact, Tom and I actually discussed this a little bit to some extent, and I got excited. I actually got excited, like the possibilities. The whole universe opened up, and I got super excited about it. Fucking Palpatine's back. Why? What the fuck are we doing right now?
Yeah, the problem was the Son should have been set up in The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Yes. You can take out Snoke, but you got to introduce a new villain. It certainly wasn't going to be Kylo.
You could have made Snoke be the Son, and we would have accepted that, right? You could have, could have had that be sort of an alias that he goes by, right? Which would have made complete sense. Yeah, that would have been wonderful, but that's sadly not what we got.
Yeah, you're making
too much sense there. And I don't know if they're going to hire me to write this stuff after hearing what I say. Or whatever.
The Son's in it's in the later part of Clone Wars. You would love this arc. It's so good, so good.
Well, I will say about
it brings in the greater religious depth of the Force reveals, because the Force is really based on a lot of mystical ideas, Taoism, Sufism, and the idea of the yin and the yang and whatever. And now you get into entities that encapsulate the yin and the yang, the light side and the dark side, and they represent that, and it's presented as a family, and it's like an expansion of the religion, and that's really interesting to find out about.
Yes, and it's genuine. It's genuinely, and it's a pretty gut-wrenching little arc that you go through there, and you're kind of left sort of in this sort of state of just like shock and where do we go from here when it's all said and done. So I don't want to spoil it for you, but it's really something you should watch. You should see it. Sorry. We'll pass it over to Lorena because I've already read two.
Okay, was it Crispy Critters? Oh, but one thing I just want to say really quick. If they're supposed to be casting Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka Tano, I love Rosario Dawson, but if she's everywhere, I'm gonna freaking tune out. Anyway,
I'm sorry, she's too old for this role as a young. Nah, she's too old for the role. I like Ahsoka Tano, or I like Rosario Dawson as well. I just think she's too old.
Y'all are istaphobes. She's hot as fuck.
I am completely shallow and blind. I freaking love Rosario Dawson. So I
loved her in Alexandra. I was like, oh, hello. Okay, here we go.
I understand, but I'm not thinking logically when it comes to her, and I'm admitting that right here, right now. So Crispy Critters for $2. Thank you so much. Who is your choice to replace Kathleen Kennedy? And that's to everyone. A robot with batteries in it. No, I'm kidding. I'm not kidding.
I almost said something terrible. I almost said something really terrible. I think realistically, Jon Favreau is probably the only real, actual, decent middle ground that we could.
But that was a good question. But I'm going to shut up and let Chrissy talk because I tend to.
I was just gonna. Jon Favreau was the only one that I was gonna say because honestly, I really don't put too much stock with the Disney head corporate and stuff like that. It's just I'm over it.
and I agree with you, Christy, because I was watching that series they did behind the scenes with the Mandalorian, and there's like a round table scene where he's talking with the directors and you listen to him talk and just the banter that goes back and forth is so organic when he's talking about Star Wars and the vision about Star Wars and how he would talk to George Lucas and how much he liked his vision. He has that in his head. There's an episode where Kathleen Kennedy is in the room and it's like the whole place goes flat when she tries to talk. Honestly,
I mean, he dominated. You could tell he was the guy in charge. I mean, she tried to talk and shut her up. You could tell because you can tell this is the guy in charge.
Yeah, I think Jon Favreau is the only real middle ground, the likely the likely candidate, I would say, and probably the best Star Wars fans can hope for at this point. And I have serious critiques to make of Jon Favreau, but I acknowledge and appreciate his passion. And so I feel like
but this is what could happen. He's a brilliant director, and part of being a director is to be a good business person. But he's never handled all the aspects of a studio, which include, I'm sure he's been consulted on the marketing of Iron Man, all those movies he's worked on. But a studio head has other business obligations that are very boring, that might not be that of great interest to him. They may end up bringing in someone to play the business head of Lucasfilm to deal with that corporate stuff.
And let him be the creative side.
Because Favreau's only been just the director and the actor.
Well, and I acknowledge his Well, we'll get into that later. Oh my God. I acknowledge his passion, but I think that the guy needs some lore experts to start handling.
Gungans are much better at math than you think.
Tom, we can't get shit done because of you.
They're actually like extremely intelligent, even though they don't sound like it, and they can do complex math.
And I'm also
seconds.
I swallowed a bag of marbles before I came on.
I swallowed a bag of marbles and I had a Diet Coke and some spaghetti in the cafeteria at Lucasfilm. And you're not supposed to come up and talk to me. Don't talk to me. Okay. Okay.
Somebody give that man a cookie. What are we sitting at here? Do you want to grab Christopher Richat, Chrissy?
Sure. For Canadian $10, when it comes to Star Wars and other franchises, when they go and retroactively undermine the foundation of such franchises, you risk it all falling apart, and now they are trying to repair the damage.
Sure, but what else are they supposed to do? I appreciate an effort to repair damage. And look, I don't have a lot of accolades to give to Lucasfilm at this point, right? But I can appreciate the attempt, the desire to repair the damage. And I do understand the safe choices, right? I do understand those safe choices. I wish that they had the ability to balance balls and creativity, because look, you have a barrel of Miyazaki in terms of the thousands of stories that span the expanded universe that you can open up here. And sometimes I ask myself, do you have no passion for creativity? Do you have no ability to latch on to the bizarre and wonderful worlds that you could paint for us? But I also have to appreciate that when they do see something that people do appreciate, that people do love, that people do gravitate towards, and they hold on to that and say, okay, so let's work with this. I can understand that decision-making process. I just hope that they don't just use these characters. They don't just use something that is appealing and that they think is going to work and then run off in left field with it and then do some crazy shit with us. Like, continue to listen to the fans. Don't just use the thing that you think is going to work and then do what you want to with it because you have some psychos who work for you and created Resistance, and I'm not a fan of that shit. Please, God, please don't do to this what you did with Resistance. Please don't do that. Like, I'm really hoping that they listen to the fans and that they go full tilt in the direction. If you're going to be safe, be safe. Don't be fucking stupid. That's all I'm saying. So, sorry, rant. Do you want to
we leave off,
Cameron? It would be Austin Trent.
You want me to do the next one? All right, the next one that I see is Austin Trent for $1.99 says, Star Trek is censoring criticism, impeach Kurtzman. Okay.
Not it.
he needs to go.
I'm for this.
Well,
Totally.
I want to say something as someone who works in the industry. I don't know Alex Kurtzman. I don't know Bob Orsi, but I have heard this. I've heard that Bob Orsi is more like us. He's an independent thinker. You know, that used to be his partner, right? They were doing all that stuff together. They broke up a couple of years ago. And Mr. Kurtzman has some very strong opinions, and they're what the system wanted. And Bob Orsi has very different opinions that I think are closer to the Fandom Menace from what I've heard. I don't know the gentleman, but I have friends who are very, very close to him who have said to me that, you know, he thinks for himself. He questions the Hollywood narrative like I do. I've heard that he grumbles that his career has been hurt because, like me, he's willing to question the standard stuff that everyone says in Hollywood that's an echo chamber, and that Kurtzman will go along with whatever the system says. Like, yeah. You know, I woke this. Whatever you need. You want this crap? I'll give it to you. Make it crappier, right? Whereas Mr. Orsi would be like, no, this doesn't work, and he'll be the person in the room to question authority, which doesn't help him, and that's why you don't hear as much about him anymore. Even though I've heard,
I've heard the same
really
thing.
a visionary guy.
I'm staying right the hell out of this. I don't know shit about it.
Well, I mean,
Oh, Lower
I don't-
Decks, they went and took the trailer. They froze the like-dislike ratio, and then they took down comments.
Yeah, they deaded it.
I mean, but it goes. It's not even just about Star Trek or Kurtzman or anything like that. It's just like you have the silent minority who are against it, but then everybody is supposed to go to the same narrative. But then when you have an audience that's against that, I mean, what do you expect? That they're going to come against it, and then they get pissed off when the audience says, "Oh well, y'all didn't like this. Well, fucking well."
Well, but that's exactly the culture that I work in. And one of the reasons that I'm also on the fringe, and I have a successful career, but I'm on the fringe of this town because I'm always been. I mean, I was fringed against my will because when I came into this town 19 years ago as a screenwriter, like everybody else, I wanted to play the game. I just wanted to advance my career. I wanted to be liked. I didn't want any controversy, and I wanted to become famous and rich, like everybody else, right? And then very quickly I discovered even as much as I was just echoing all the mantras, people still didn't like me. And it was eventually because I realized, I'm a practicing Muslim. People really don't like that in Hollywood. They don't like, and I couldn't hide that. And so eventually it's like, all right, well, you're not going to hire me because of X, Y, and Z things about my background. So screw all you guys. I'm just going to start speaking what I think. It doesn't matter.
It's bizarre to me because, and look, I completely believe it. I buy it because I believe that Hollywood is the thing that I believe they're full of hypocrites. I believe they are.
They are.
Yeah. But it blows my mind how they can stand there and so hypocritically just sort of push this narrative of diversity, which I'm not against because I think diversity is a wonderful thing. I don't think diversity for diversity's sake is a wonderful thing, but I think that diversity in and of itself,
different voices can be really good.
Absolutely.
I love the diversity of thought. I love the different scenarios that can present to a mind that's never necessarily processed these kinds of things before, right? It can absolutely expand your horizon. I think that's a wonderful thing. But it is astounding to me how you can find yourself sitting there, you're saying the things, and it doesn't matter what you do because you don't line up with what it is that they want you to be. And so Hollywood is just a bunch of hypocrites, guys.
I'll tell you the exact moment. It was I was up for a job with one of these major, I won't say what show it was, with one of these major shows that everyone knows about that had a lot of Muslim villain bad guys. And I worked on a few of those, right? And then they didn't want to interview me, they didn't want to put me in. And I had gone out of my way to sort of fit in by that point. And then eventually one of my friends who knows the creator of the show really well said, why don't you hire Cameron? He's like, well, I'm not going to hire Cameron. I'm not going to have that Islamist fanatic in my room. I mean, it's like your show with all these Muslims in it, characters in it, but you don't want a Muslim point of view on the show. And he painted me as an extremist fanatic because that's the only way you could imagine me. And I was like, oh, okay, so all this time that I went along with all this, and you've already put me in a box of something I'm not, well, forget it. I'm going to talk about whatever I want to talk about. It doesn't matter anymore.
It's interesting because when I lived in Los Angeles for all those years and I would go to these parties with this producers, screenwriters, whatever, this is the same kind of crap that they would say, well, we want to seem diverse, but we don't want to do because they look too Muslim. We don't want to do this because they look too black. We don't want this guy because he doesn't quite look like the Latino that we want. And it's amazing what they will say when no one is listening and when people are listening and think they can say that crap.
Oh yeah, the Sony leaks showed that big time. And again, it's like I don't think anybody's against diversity, but when you got somebody saying, "Oh, diversity means not white," I think that's kind of the problem there.
What the hell's diversity?
Well, I could be wrong, but I believe diversity is an old wooden ship that was used during the Civil War era.
That's like with the freaking diversity training that I had to take for work.
Oh my god!
And the only people not being prejudiced or racist were black people in the training.
Oh, of course.
I can't right now. I just can't.
Yeah.
I actually had. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Christy, please.
I was going to say I had to do that 2 weeks ago for my job.
It was freaking cringe. And they're like, do you have any questions for HR? I'm like, yeah, I have some questions for you.
Well, I said this after one of these kinds of things to one of my bosses on a TV show. He didn't like hearing it. I said, it's interesting. I noticed that, we always talk about hiring African Americans on the show, but we never hire an African American man that doesn't act like a weak little Urkel. I've had a lot of confident, like aggressive, self-confident African American men. They don't want that. They want a
Oh
quiet.
no, they want the
they-
non-threatening black man. That's what they want.
They want the loud black woman and the quiet black man.
Yes.
And the moment an African American comes in, with a Malcolm X vibe, he's out.
Yeah.
That kind of confidence, they don't want that.
It's so insane and bizarre. I don't understand that mentality there, because wasn't all of this, isn't it what we were shooting for? What they say that we're shooting for here is that sort of representation and the ability for everybody to kind of to get out there and be themselves, right? Well, wouldn't you engage that by allowing yourself to perceive people as the individuals that they are, as opposed to fitting them into a stereotype in your mind? Like,
When they're stereotyped, you get to be the boss. The moment you get independent people who think for themselves and can add value and might even be better than you in certain areas, you are threatened. This is all about keeping a certain powerful group of people in power and surrounding with people that are no threat but that are useful tokens.
Yeah, none of them actually believe any of the shit that they say.
Exactly, and it's all about the bottom line. That's all it is. You take it, and whatever your politics, whatever you believe, if something is controversial on social media and it gets enough traction, nothing is ever done unless sponsors or like big corporate companies who are paying for it in some way, that they are threatening to take that away, that something is done or correcting it. So
yes, let's go ahead and try to get through these super chats, guys, because I actually have a little list of questions that I have for Cameron.
Okay.
I'm sorry not to put you on the spot, Cameron.
I finally get questions. I've been a viewer and a fan. I get questions. It's nice.
Yay! So
that's the plan.
From Chrissy Critters for $2 says, I'd love the story of the clones that disobeyed Order 66. I kind of get a little bit of that in terms of the ones that pull the chips out, right? So there's some of that because they actively sort of preemptively disobey that order. But yes, I would like to see that. I would not mind that. But again, I'm kind of getting worn out myself on some of these stories. There are so many stories. I'd love to see Darth Bane. I'd love to see Bastila and Revan. I really wanted to see Bastila and Revan. That was something I was hard up to see. That, fuck yeah, that's a love story right there, and tragic and amazing. And so I
Brie Larson might be Revan. You might get
go.
Hell no.
That's the rumor. Brie Larson is Revan.
Kill me.
Hell no.
No.
F that noise.
Jesus Christ. That's 10.
I'm going to reveal something. Last year, Brie Larson's involved in some project right now about a CIA agent that I'm actually familiar with the agent. She's got a book out. And my agents put me up for a job on that show last year. And I was like, oh, better start deleting some tweets.
I freaking love that. Oh my god.
I just saw the face of Brie.
That's
Ms. Larson, I will still work with you. Please hire me. And then I'll delete all my tweets.
I expect Brie to be there.
There's no fucking way you're getting a job with Brie or J.J. Abrams or Kurtzman now that you've been on this channel. I'm sorry. You should have been pre-warned.
Well, I think this video just killed that. This video just killed it. Yeah.
yes. One of their minions is watching this right now.
You didn't want to work with her anyway, man.
Maybe I'll get something to Kevin Sorbo at this point. That's about it, I think. So it's all good.
You have a penis. She doesn't like you. I'm sorry. All right. Let's see here.
Next one. I think we missed Culture Casinos one here.
Yes, we're working on Culture Casinos.
Okay, so Culture Casino for $2. Thank you. Sparkly Batman, Sparkly Star Wars. What's next? Hopefully not Sparkly Cobra Kai, because if that happens, I'm taking hostages.
I'll be with you.
No, they're okay. Cobra Kai, they figured out their market and they're fine. They were counterculture because they tried it on YouTube, whatever, and they're like, oh wow, this works. We're just gonna keep doing this.
Yeah, I would have to kill some people. I will bring the shovel arena. Actually, my dad has a sinkhole in the back of the house. So I mean, like we don't even need to do much preparation.
Cool. I'll drive the getaway car.
Lord have
Boy, that escalated quickly.
Highway Car is one of my favorite Taylor Swift songs, but whatever, we'll have that conversation.
You're sitting here like fully admitting live on air.
Anybody who follows me on Twitter, Mary, I think you just started following me. I have a kind of thing for Taylor Swift. You'll see it in my thread. It's kind of there.
Oh my God, no. I feel so bad for you.
Oh my God, you and Abu
I had
Nas.
a concert like 2 years ago.
This is so cheesy to say, but I knew you were trouble.
The great thing about songs is you can do an entire conversation with the titles. Yeah.
When I leave.
We are never, ever, ever getting back together.
Never.
The genius of it, you created a lexicon. You can keep doing this.
You gotta calm down.
All right. We need to shake this off.
Whatever. There's no stop.
Really, Tom? I swear to Bob, I will leave right now. All right. Do you want to get the next one here from Crispy Critters, Christy? Oh no, wait, we just got that one.
We already read that one.
Yeah,
Okay,
the
so we
DCV
skipped that one.
Titan.
Okay, the DCV Titan. There we go. That one.
Okay, for Canadian $2, the best scene in Solo was L33T getting cut into.
I think it was L337.
Yes.
I thought it was
Thank you, author Stephen Walton, for guiding people to my Twitter. By the way, my sister really hates those Taylor Swift tweets. She really hates Taylor Swift. She's really like, you're 48 years old. You need to not be doing this. I'm like, well, whatever.
You are not 48. So.
Do I look 40? What is it? Yeah. How old did I look?
I was going to peg you at like maybe 37.
Yeah. You know what?
Early.
I have cap.
Maximum. You ruined it, Tom. We were talking about his age.
No,
I was giving him a maximum effort puppy for looking up.
I'm into Zodiac, if anyone else follows my Twitter. So I have a Capricorn rising, and people with Capricorn rising are like Benjamin Button, who age backwards. So if you look at photos of me in my 20s, I look like I'm 50 years old. And now I'm like aging backwards. And here's something. Taylor Swift has Capricorn rising too.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ.
Zodiac, but that's okay.
Taylor
Can I get a Jesus Christ Fenton, please, Tom?
Jesus Christ! Fenton!
Which, of course, in German means a whale's vagina.
I've no idea why you did that. That's not.
You know, I've worked
Tom,
with a lot
where's
of
that other
people
clip
that
I sent you?
say things that are wrong and they're 100% correct in their belief.
Andre's gonna kill you, Tom.
Yes, he is. I need to stop. Well, the one you sent me, doesn't that have music in it, though, Christy?
Whatever.
Well, it does.
Yeah.
She's gonna slap the shit out of you.
I know she's mad at me right now.
All right,
Sorry,
so
Chrissy.
I'll
I can't do Kiss My Grits clip for you.
All right, you want me to read the next?
Yes, if you don't mind grabbing Makini.
All right, we're almost there. So Makini 90 at $2. Very simple. Hail, ladies and Cameron. Hail, Makini.
Yay!
Makini might mind that if you grab him, though.
Oh, speaking of Makini.
Oh, is
Did
that?
this-
Oh, is that he did that?
Yes, he did that.
Nice.
I'm just waiting for him to color it in. So
That's
gorgeous.
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 That is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. All right, so let's see here. So, and now we got another super chat after that too. So the DCV Titan for Canadian $5 says they also want to affect social engineering through media. I mean, like, I think that depends on who you're talking about. I don't know that I necessarily believe that the bigwigs in Hollywood give two flying Fs about affecting social engineering per se. I think that they probably are more inclined to just go along with the flow, right? Whatever it is that they think they're supposed to say. We're supposed to say this thing in order to make the masses be like, oh yeah, they're good people, virtue signal, blah, 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 blah. I don't think that necessarily.
I do think there's proof that they always try to kind of engineers towards their think. I think that's evident with like all this bullshit in the movies now.
But I think that that's probably more. Well, I'll just disagree with you there. I just think that it's probably more like the politician aspect of it, and potentially the news media that are trying to sort of socially engineer, whereas mainstream media, in terms of the news aspect, but where in terms of like just like the companies, I think they may have some people in there that want to do that. But in terms of like the stockholders and things like that, and the people who are trying to make money, I don't think they give two flying fucks.
All right. So I'm going to come in and say that I think both of you are right. There's two factions in Hollywood. There's the people that are just looking to make money, and they will go with wherever they think the cultural trend is. And then when the data comes back that they're not making money with what they thought was a trend, they'll shift. That's exactly what we saw happening at the higher ups in Disney, who went along with Kathleen Kennedy's choices and now have pulled back from those choices because they've hurt the brand economically. However, there is a very real and very dangerous group of ideologues who believe their purpose in Hollywood is to transform culture. I've worked with people like that. They are fanatical, and they do not, because ultimately it's not their money. As long as they're in a position where they can keep doing this, they want to be able to use it to impact culture. And only those money people who are looking at the bottom line can come in and intervene. But it's very real agenda. And I will say that it accelerated after Trump was elected, because there's always been people in Hollywood that, that have been trying to push various left social agendas. But
it started in the 90s with the gay agenda. Yeah. Which there's nothing wrong with. I mean, but yeah.
Anytime we have somebody say something like that, I have to put on my tinfoil hat. I have to.
Well, it's true though. I mean,
I'm like, what the heck?
I just don't think that it's all of them. I think that there are
no, like Cameron said, not all of them. But then you have the one faction, and you even seen it in the 90s where they were trying, with the push of gay rights. Well, then you seen it in tandem with movies. It had a lot of the pro-gay agendas in movies. And again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with a pro-gay agenda necessarily, but we've gotten to that point where it's gone beyond that now. And that's where, like Cameron says, there's these freaks who are just pushing this agenda in the movies. And then on the other side, I don't think there's so much of a crossover.
It was in I witnessed this during the final years of Obama. During the final years of Obama, let's be honest, we moved forward a lot on social issues. I know there's LGBT people here on this call, and we moved to a place where gay marriage was being allowed and things were happening. And so, but then it started getting to a place that some people became uncomfortable with when we started talking about transgender bathrooms for children, right? Then it started getting pushing, and then Trump got elected, and so people suddenly felt that they had to push the most on the edge ideas to fight Trump, and that's become the narrative now. I mean, nobody's talking about gay marriage anymore in Hollywood. Now they're all talking about, about your pronoun.
Being woke,
they don't need to talk about gay marriage.
I go to meetings now. People are like, everyone has to lift their pronoun. I'm like, I'd like to not participate in that. I think my pronoun is self-evident. And then they get really upset by that. I mean, it's like a mantra now.
Right. And then on the other side of it, you'd always had to work with the law enforcement and military and stuff like that when you make movies that are about cops and the military. So there's always that aspect as well. And there's always an agenda to make them look good.
Well, some of these things were good things. So look, I'll pull out my little bisexual card here, right? And I will say that I think that it's a wonderful thing that that we have the right to go marry whoever the hell we want, because it's legitimate freedom, right? And the rights that belong to some should belong to all. There should be no discrimination. No, everybody should be able to marry whoever, like, as long as there are two consenting parties here, they can actually speak, the same language. Like, I'm not going to go marry a dog because you can't confirm that a dog is consenting. But what I'm saying is that, like, as long as you have two adult consenting parties, there's rights should be equal across all, right? But I feel like we've kind of hit that threshold, and I would agree. I think that there are certainly people like Kathleen Kennedy who have an agenda to push clearly, right? But then I think you have people like Dave Filoni who, even though I disagree with what he said, I don't think he's saying it because he necessarily is a hardcore. I don't think he's a furry, Tom. Fuck. No, I'm just saying, like, I don't think that Dave Filoni is an SJW. I think he's saying whatever he needs.
I don't believe you.
He's simping. I think he is when it comes to Filoni.
I'm sorry.
He's not a fucking furry. He's a one-trick pony.
He's a one-trick pony.
What I can do.
On that note.
Giggity. All right, let me go back to here. We've got two more. No, I'm sorry. A couple more super chats here. 3 more super chats here. So, Lorena, if you want to grab Culture Casino.
Sure. Culture Casino for $2. Thank you. Cameron may look young, but I have better hair. LOL. He does have better hair.
I have one simple response. High testosterone. I'm glad you got good hair. You can't beat my testosterone, but it disappears with the testosterone. What can I do?
Yeah. Shaving bald men are sexy. Just saying.
I have better hair than all. So go suck it.
Women should have beautiful hair. Men should be, they should look like Yul Brynner. Now that's masculinity.
No lies detected.
Here, here.
I like.
What
a
about
good
fat
head.
Yulebrunners that are kind of white?
And you know what? To each his own. All right, or her own, or your own, or their own, or whatever your pronouns are.
I can wear a black cowboy hat
Sure you could.
and nothing else.
I
Here
don't
we
need
go.
that image in my head, Tom. Fuck. Jesus.
But I'm fat Yulebrenner.
He's trying to get the toxic femininity strip poker episode in play. He's
Nope.
trying to get that.
Not today, Satan.
The audience woke up now. Oh, yep.
Have you ever seen Westworld? He is sexy as hell in that movie.
Okay.
Yulebrenner make a straight man think twice.
Is it hot in here?
Wait, he's in Westworld?
The original,
He's gone
yes.
dead. He's gone.
Oh, okay. I was going to
Yes.
say.
He basically plays the same character he played in
I was going to say, what CGI shenanigans we got going on?
This is not shenanigans. I do
He
not.
made a sexy cowboy.
Oh, shit balls.
So, can I? I'll just do the
Please,
next one.
please, Jesus Christ.
Shellback for $5. Taylor Swift. Ew. Say it isn't so. Cameron, you can do better.
How about Dua Lipa?
That's a compliment. That's a compliment.
Yeah,
That's complimenting you. Thank you.
my sister hates Taylor Swift. She really. That's another conversation.
Taylor Swift.
Really? Taylor shit, huh?
I swear, Freudian slip, guys. I was not trying to be an asshole. No, look, Taylor Swift is the chick who will burn your clothes at 3:00 in the morning on the freaking front lawn. You will do that shit, okay? You deserve better. Like yourself.
She's never met. Look at the dude she's dated. They're all these weak, feminine dudes. She's never
At
met
some
a
point,
masculine
though,
dude with no hair
there's
who can
one
take
common
care.
denominator, Cameron. One common denominator. At some point, she needs to start asking herself the hard questions.
Yeah, which is why am I not with a masculine, powerful, bald dude? I mean, that's the question.
Oh
And
my
eventually,
God.
Oh God, help me, please.
Yeah, Yul Brenner screwed me up ever since.
I
saw
know,
the
right,
Ten
Heather?
Commandments. I know.
All right. Do you want to grab this, the Terminus EST one here?
He is sexier than any man had the right to be.
I have questions. I want to get to them. So,
All right, we got two more. So
yes.
who do it? You want me to determine this?
Go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
You tell.
Oh, yes.
All right, well,
You do
I'll
that
do
one.
it. It's all about me.
That caramel skin, that bald head,
Okay.
those
Tom,
eyebrows,
stop. I'm not going to be able to
Hashtag
sleep tonight.
cancel Tom.
I'm getting Lorraine or Misty over there.
This is why we never have nice things.
See, another title from a Taylor Swift song. See, it never ends.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's the title of a Taylor Swift song. Okay, see, you can have a whole conversation. Terminus S, $2. If you rub Cameron's head, a genie may come out.
I would say he is the genie.
Well, since I'm a Muslim and jinn are part of our religion, that these other entities exist, I will tell you that I've got a genie in my house who is one of these genies that makes things disappear and appear. Like, literally, I will.
No. That's just
I
me.
got this entity that is like, oops, where did this entire box, this entire thing of honey appear out of nowhere in the middle of my table? Thank you. I got that thing.
That's me. I also lick the butter in your fridge when you're not looking. That's me.
All right.
I do
If you made me the manifestation of my gin, okay. God bless.
I'm sorry. Just teasing.
It's okay.
Culture Casino for $2 says Tom in a black cowboy hat, naked. Not okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh my God. Yeah. And to follow up on that, Terminus S with $2. Thank you. Is Tom trying to be a 10-gallon asshat?
Oh, I understood that reference.
All right. I got it too. You had questions? Whatever.
I do. So I know that you said that there were a couple of camps in sort of Lucasfilm, right? And there's sort of a George Lucas camp, and I think we've all kind of gotten on the same page that there's a Kathleen Kennedy camp as well. Would you say that the George Lucas camp is prevalent?
It has reasserted itself, especially over the last year, with the success of The Mandalorian. This is what I'm hearing because I have friends who are very, very close to the inner world of Lucasfilms. I've got friends who know George Lucas personally. I do not know him. I was up for the job of head writer for Clone Wars, and I didn't get it. And so I would have been working with George directly on that, which is one of my great losses. But I got to meet Dave Filoni in the process. But yeah, so I have friends who are very close. And therefore, what they tell me that faction had been essentially cowed. The George Lucas faction, bless you, the George Lucas faction had been cowed ever since The Last Jedi was really where Kathleen Kennedy asserted her agenda. It was hidden in the original Abrams film, and then she felt free to do it in The Last Jedi, and she shut everyone down who questioned it. Those were when people said, "Hey, boss, I don't think this is working with the canon. What's happening?" And she said, "Be quiet, you're fired," and they all became quiet. And then after the Last Jedi, they slowly but surely reasserted themselves until Favreau got into the picture. Then they found their champion. And so what I'm hearing is they're now the dominant force in Lucasfilm. We still have this group of people that are very bitter and resentful that Miss Kennedy's on the way out and her vision is being quashed, and they're fighting it every step of the way. And so, they still haven't got to the place where they can fire 40 people who may be in that camp. And so it's a process of weaning those people out. They have contracts, all that stuff. So you got to let some of those people, eventually age out of the system. Mm-hmm. So they're there to create trouble. And so they're still creating trouble, but they're in the minority now.
And you said that they found their champion in Jon Favreau. So you would say Jon Favreau is definitively part of the George Lucas camp.
I said this, I think I said this on one of Jeremy's things and caused a lot of, hullabaloo. But I have a very close friend who has worked directly with Jon Favreau on several movies, is in his inner circle. And we had coffee just before all the lockdowns happened, like earlier in the year. And he told me directly that Favreau Favreau was horrified by what was happening. He's a huge Star Wars fan, and he saw The Last Jedi. I was like, oh my God, they're really on the wrong track. And from what he told me, Favreau reached out to Lucasfilm directly and said, guys, I can help you with this, right? And so inserted himself into the process because he cares that much about this franchise. And that was the champion that everyone needed.
Yeah, I've been really grateful to hear a lot of the buzz around Jon Favreau because I'm a lifelong Star Wars fan, and we all have sort of our stories growing up that we share with one another. The things that got us into Star Wars, the things that are most poignant in our lives, the cornerstones for some of us that built us, And so for me, Star Wars was something that I never dreamed in my life. I mean, there were stories that I had that held less favor with me than other stories, but I never dreamed in my life that I would hit a point where I was so highly critical of Star Wars and where I sort of nitpicked things. And I found that I get frustrated a little easier than I used to. And so I've had some critique of The Mandalorian. And I've heard the buzz around Jon Favreau that he is open to said critique. How do we convey that without busting this guy's chops to a point where he throws up his hands like George Lucas and says, fuck this shit, I'm out?
I don't think he's going to do that.
Wait, I got one for that.
I knew you were going to do that.
No, you do it. What you going to press?
Do it.
Where is it? I got too many things. This moment's gone. I'm sorry.
Again. Well, there we go.
I give myself a minimum effort puppy, and I go to the back room.
Oh, sweet puppy. Yeah, people puppy. No. From what I understand, I mean, I do believe George was exhausted from Star Wars. I think he was hurt that a lot of people critiqued the prequels, and he decided, maybe it is time for me to let this go to another generation, let it go. But now, when we saw the mess that was made of it, I think Favreau was coming in with that youthful energy of, I'm going to put this on track for my whole generation, right? Mm-hmm. He's where Lucas was 20, 25, 30 years ago. And so he wants to leave an impact of putting this thing on and being remembered as the person that saved Star Wars. So I don't think he's going to give up. I absolutely think he cares what the fans think, and he's smart enough to know what are the real fans versus the fake fans that came on board for the trilogy because it was cool at the moment and have moved on to something else now. He knows who cares about this. And Mandalorian was his best effort to get that back on track while still having to deal with notes and stuff from Kathleen's camp. So it was his effort to get onto a broken track and fix the track. So your critiques of Mandalorian, I think, will be fair. And I don't think he would deny them. Let's see where he goes in the second season. I think he's going to have more of his vision in the second season.
I would like to think that that would be the case. I've had some pretty big critiques of The Mandalorian, and I've had some pretty big criticisms of it. And that's again, that comes from a place of love for Star Wars, right? When I went into The Mandalorian, I went into it with this sort of optimism. Hey guys, we've got a new. I love Dave Filoni and loved what he's done with the Star Wars, and was sort of with everybody else carrying the torch of hope, right, from this. And a lot of the things that I saw concerned me because I thought we were getting this sort of Western style outlaw, grungy, dirty thing. And instead I got slapped with this marketable Baby Yoda. And I know everybody fucking loves Baby Yoda, and more power to you. I'm not telling anybody what they
Well, it is manipulation. You're right. I mean, they did that on purpose.
It's a lovely little plot hole.
It was a marketing point that worked.
Well, I have serious problems with Baby Yoda where he fits in terms of canonically speaking, right? And without getting too deep into it, I have a problem with, I know everybody hates midichlorians, but they're canon. They're a thing. You have to deal with it. And I don't think they're as bad as everybody thinks they are. I'll probably do another article.
I've come to accept them. Again, The Last Jedi Force.
It's okay to be wrong.
You know what midichlorians are, Tom. We can get into this debate right now. Let's go. Let's go, okay?
Midichlorians are what's wrong with the prequels.
Midichlorians are not what's wrong with midichlorians are not the Force. They are what you use to identify the Force and how much potential somebody has, right?
They're fucking cooties.
They're a thing. They're a thing, and they exist. And so you have someone like Anakin Skywalker who's been identified as having a higher midichlorian count than Yoda, Master Yoda, who is the same species as Baby Yoda, right? So that's important here.
All right. I'm sorry I said anything. Get back to the super chats and to the question.
We already read all the super chats.
No, there's more.
There's more, and there's questions.
So what do you want to do, Tom? Go back to super chats or conversation? I don't care.
Both.
Which one?
I to satisfy the people that are.
Fuck this shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out.
This is why we don't have nice things. So the point was, when you have someone like Anakin Skywalker, who at the ripe old age of 9 never displayed the kinds of amazing force feats and abilities that this Baby Yoda, who is the same species as Master Yoda, and Anakin had more midichlorians than. I have problems with how that works because the Force has rules, right? It needs to have rules. Any story that you get engrossed in, any universe, any world that you dive into needs to have rules for it to work in order for you to be invested in how all of this works. And so I do have some major critiques of The Mandalorian. And I don't know that I believe that it will save Star Wars, at least certainly not as season 1 has been presented to us. Do you think we're going to see more doubling down of the same stuff, or do you think we're going to go a kind of new direction here? Like you said that you think it's going to
be evolving. It's going to be evolving, especially because, like I said, I do believe that Favreau is listening to feedback, and not just in desperate how do I make money, right? Which I think the Abrams camp was trying to do, is they're trying to figure out how to after what to do. He really cares. He wants to make the Star Wars that people want, so he's hearing the feedback, and again, he has to deal with this faction that's still tied to the official president of the company that's going to be undercutting him and giving notes and saying we got to do it this way. You can't just not have them on set. You can't totally just throw their notes in the garbage. You have to deal with them and make them believe you're giving them something so they don't create more of a hullabaloo. So I think the fact of his success and the fact of Kennedy's really, I just think she's been pushed out essentially now. And that reality, I think, is going to give him the confidence to make it more of a real Star Wars thing. And hopefully you'll have less critiques next season and it will be closer to the lore, closer thing, and he'll be freer to return to it. I think they're really moving towards that.
So you're thinking that this is kind of a waiting, patient game for us right now, that in order to kind of ride this storm out, in order to get something that's a little bit more stable in terms of how it lands in continuity and all of that jazz, and how it works within the overall structure of the universe as it's been laid out for us, that we just need to have a little bit more patience and to kind of hold out for the better stuff. Because I wrote an entire article for G&G that Star Wars mediocrity story, essentially.
But you're not wrong. What happened is our Star Wars was a healthy, strong person that was stabbed heavily in The Last Jedi, right? I mean, it was nicked at in The Force Awakens, and then it was stabbed in The Last Jedi, and it was put on life support. And so now you're getting a painful rehabilitation process of rebuilding that scarred and damaged. And the person's going to have a scar. I mean, you can't erase, even if they erased it from canon, None of us can erase the memory of what just happened. And that's going to impact us moving forward. And so it's still, Humpty Dumpty is broken, and they're going to do the best they can to put together Humpty Dumpty where we don't notice the cracks too much.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not crazy about The Mandalorian, and I think it's got a lot of problems. But I also agree that it's not a woke mess. I think that it's something that wants to be good, and there are elements that are really have a lot of potential. But it's also highly disappointing in some ways. And so I've tried to be understanding of Jon Favreau, and I believe he has the best intentions. I do believe you can see the passion. You can see that there's real zeal in the actual crafting of this story. It's just it has a lot of muck to wade through.
He's what I am not. He's a wise corporate political maneuvering director, right? He is willing to bite his tongue to achieve his objectives and go around people. I'm a loudmouth. I speak the truth as I see it. That usually makes me enemies and prevents me from achieving my objectives. That's who I am. There's a reason Jon Favreau is where he is. We've both been in town for about 20 years, right? And so there's a reason, and God bless him. He knows how to maneuver, something like Disney, the corporate. I mean, I was fired from Disney. I refused to maneuver through the corporate politics. I confronted the executives about things that I thought were being badly done on the Tron animated series. 24 hours later, I was fired. I mean, I don't regret confronting them because everything I told them happened after I left.
I feel the tact. I'm feeling the tact. I'm good with it. I also feel like an asshole because I've been kind of domineering this, and I've been like the only chick talking. Christy and Lorena, you guys are welcome to jump in.
Okay, well,
good.
No, I was just going to say, with The Mandalorian, I liked it. I didn't think that it was the best thing. I didn't think that it was the worst thing. But one of the things that does concern me about the second season is how they seem to be front loading it with all of these established characters. Like, for example, Boba Fett, a couple other ones from the Clone Wars that I don't know, so I can't mention. But to me, it almost makes it feel like you're not that confident in the storytelling and the world building that you did in the first season. So looking at the second season, Cameron, do you think that's an issue with them bringing so many established characters in? I mean, I know it's kind of like using a crystal ball to figure it out, but, does that spell trouble for what's going on? Or do you think that's like, okay, that's probably a smart move or a safe move for them to make?
Well, remember, Favreau he's the one that started the entire MCU with Iron Man, right? And he's been at least involved, aware of how it evolved into a multi-story, multi-arc, multi-character thing, right? And he set that in motion. So it's all going to depend on the screenwriting of how those story characters are brought into play. I mean, I think there's talk about Boba Fett coming back, or maybe the Mandalorian is Boba Fett or whatever, and and all of that. And then we know Ahsoka Tano's coming back and all of that. So it's all about whether the stories are well written and allow these characters to not just be jammed in, as I think a lot of people felt everything in the Rise of Skywalker was just jammed in.
And that's what worries me about being jammed in. Yeah.
It's all the good blessing is you have multiple episodes, and it's not just a 2-hour thing or a 3-hour thing where you have to ram everything in. You've got time for storytelling. I could be proven wrong. I think it's going to be a better second season. And I think we're going to be really deeply on track then. We'll see, I guess.
I tend to be with Lorena on that. I've felt a lot of hesitation for the second season, especially when they talk about bringing in Boba Fett and bringing in Ahsoka Tano. It already feels really muddled for me, where you have so much stuff that draws your attention away from the Mandalorian himself, who started off so strong. He started off so incredibly interesting. You kick him off from the and he's a badass from start, right? And from the very first moment of go, you feel like this guy is a complete and utter badass, and we are going to follow him along some kind of journey here, and we're going to get to see him kick ass and take names. And then it gets all sort of muddied and murked up with this baby Yoda and this side chick and the dark saber and all this stuff that has to do with other series that have weighing this series down. And I really wanted to see this series do its own thing. And like I was saying earlier, I felt like the Clone Wars is sort of, at this point, all of these spin-offs and stuff, these are the coleslaw to the meat and potatoes that I want to be served to me. And I had for the Mandalorian to be that initially, and now I'm just seeing more and more coleslaw piled onto my plate. And no offense to anybody who loves coleslaw, but who the fuck eats an entire plate of coleslaw?
Unless it comes from Kentucky Fried Chicken.
I don't
but
like
other than that-
coleslaw at all. That's a bad nasty.
I
That
love
shit's
it, but
nasty.
only from KFC do I love
It
it.
looks and smells like cat puke.
Where are you buying it?
She's so gracious.
Oh.
Let me over talk her. Chrissy, please.
I will say when the Mandalorian was first announced, I always go back to like the spaghetti westerns because I thought it is what it was going to be.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't know. And I hate Baby Yoda. I just can't stand that. It needs
What?
to burn.
Get the fuck out of here.
Don't let me get him.
Really?
I'm gonna bring him up and put him in the screen for you.
Comes in and saves
Just
your ass.
kidding. Just kidding. I love my little plot hole. Go ahead.
No, I don't mind if you like Baby Yoda, that's fine. But I'm just like, okay. But yeah, I don't like it.
I just feel like a lot of subplot that weighs down.
Exactly.
And there are lots of stories that are sort of that have nothing to do with anything. Look, I loved the Bill Burr episode. It was a lot of fun. You know, you're going to this very sort of secret agent man. Like it felt really great, but it had nothing to do with fucking anything. And when it was over, I was like, well, as fun as that was, I'm no nearer my goal than I was, 20 minutes ago.
You are nearer if you understand that a bomb was set off inside the building with The Last Jedi. They destroyed everything. And so people are going through the wreckage trying to find something to put it. And they're like, oh, I found a piece of this. Oh, I found a piece of the dark saber. Oh, let's do it. Because they're like, I don't know what's left here. What do we do? How do we get at least some pieces back together that we can build something on? Because it was intentionally destroyed by a maniac.
I was going to say, how many people did they announce have going to be guest starring on season 2 now? Like 5 people?
It's well, like I said, I'm with Lorena. It feels pretty weighed down by the subplots that they're only adding on to that pile. Now, like I said, I'm completely content with having some patience, and I totally understand where Cameron's coming from with this. That you have a lot of moving parts here, and people that need to be placated, and some reconstruction that needs to take place before we can necessarily expect a grand slam out of all of this. And I think all things considered, The Mandalorian definitely, I certainly wouldn't say it exceeded my expectations, but it certainly did better than it could have done given the absolute shit show that is going on right now. And so, and you can see the real drive to make something good, then the purpose behind it, right? You can see that there's some real passion. So I'm content to wait, and I'm content to kind of wade through this storm right now. But I also, like I said, we have criticisms, and I'm hoping that Jon Favreau is the kind of person who listens to those criticisms without thinking, okay, fuck this shit, I'm out, right? Like,
he is. From everything I've heard, he is a man of integrity, of decency, which in this industry is actually not common. Everything I've heard consistently, he's, aside from being really creative, he's a good human being. That's actually not common in this industry, and that's why I've heard it.
Yeah. And I just loved him in Spider-Man. Sorry, I tried to throw on my Valley Girl voice, but it came out more Karen-ish. My bad. I know we've got some super chats here that we probably want to get to.
Where did we leave off?
Having kittens over there. Let's see here. Where did we leave off? Tom was trying to. Okay, so I think Culture Casino for $2. Cameron is such a great guest. Well done, ladies. That props. Those props go to Tom for bringing him on. Big props to Tom.
Well, because I kept asking. I was like, when am I coming on? When am I coming on?
You can come hang out with me anytime,
these
Cameron.
videos with dudes. I want some pretty girls. He's like, fine, you can be on this one.
You can come hang out with us anytime. I think we would be happy to have you at any point. Oh, my hair. Let's see. And I did.
Okay.
Raina?
Okay. Next one. Crispy Critters for $5. Thank you. They're going to be cleaning KK's mess for years. She's been frozen out until her contract is up. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
We're not far out now, though. We're not far out. We're getting there, guys.
I think she has 2 couple
there
of
is
months?
talk she might be pushed out a little earlier. I didn't believe that talk. I'm starting to believe it, that she might be pushed out in September. You know why? I think she went too far with the Leslie Headland move, where she basically announced all women. And from what I heard from my sources, from my friends, who are like, she didn't get that approved by Igar. I goes like, what's this? And he reads it in the trades. He's like, what?
Yeah.
What? He took a lot of crap from her because she's got a lot of power and he's afraid of doing the I can't fire the woman thing, right? And then he's like, no, you can't actually, you have to at least pretend to pitch it to me. You have to at least do that. Now everyone in the company knows you didn't pitch this to me, so that means you're usurping my authority. That makes me look bad to all my underlings. I think that was just too far.
We ripped Leslie Headland apart here on this show. That woman has some serious skeletons in her closets, and
they all do. They're all in the Weinstein stuff. I worked on a show recently where someone with a lot of skeletons just got fired. So it's all, but we're in this place where it's starting to come out. And what I'm actually noticing is, for the last several years, and I've said this a lot on Twitter, the woke white women like Ms. Kennedy have been protected. They've been sacrosanct. They're the champions of the controlling the diversity narrative and the champions of the pussy hats versus Trump stuff, right? So they're seen as that, right? But they have lost their power in the last few months. And I just witnessed it. I worked on a show where the showrunner was one of these people, and they were fired. And I thought they were invincible, and they were fired last week because it had reached a stage where people are like, it's too dangerous for us to have this person. So if this person, who I thought was invincible, was removed from power last week in a pretty humiliating fashion, nobody's safe, because now they're coming for the white, and they were the untouchables.
Well, good, because no one should be untouchable, right? No one should be untouchable, and any woman worth her salt, any person worth their salt. But since we're on the subject of women, right? Any woman worth her salt wouldn't want to be untouchable by virtue of her vagina. She would want to be the kind of person who earns her prestige, earns her power, earns her respect, earns the control that she has, because that's the way that it's done. That's and
there's a lot of them in the industry. But it's been this group of people that were well connected, that were, let's just say, they played that role of the we're the white savior thing. They loved that role, and they were people that didn't really have the talent to back it up, but they had the connections. And we saw what happened in Lucasfilm. They rise to power and they create a little bubble around themselves. And there's a lot of women I know from the environment that I worked in, where these women that were not competent made sure that they were the worst to women that were competent. They pushed them out. They were bad to men. They were worse to any woman that was a threat.
Cool.
And they're ending.
I'm glad. I'm kind of glad to hear it. Well, not kind of. I'm ecstatic to hear that. I hope that we'll move forward in a way that is beneficial. I don't give a shit about women. I just want some good Star Wars.
If they wrote some good stuff, you can overlook that, but it's crap.
Yeah, but that's the problem, is you're getting these incompetent people who were able to use the bubble of I'm fighting Trump, and if you don't support me, you support Trump, and all that stuff that works really well in Hollywood. But with the current environment where all of the studios are facing financial loss and people can't even go into production, nobody has time for garbage anymore. Like, entire studios might collapse. They've got to get their bottom line okay. There's no time for morons. There's no time for political jabberty jabber. They've got to get rid of people that are a danger to their bottom line. That's what's happening.
Yeah, no doubt. We've kind of swapped places with Christy and Cameron here. So, Cameron, we'll have you if you want to keep reading super chats with us. I love the interaction. We'll have the next one if you want to.
It does go from just super chats into just regular questions too. So
okay.
I was going to say, if let me get Matthew, because the next one is a question for Cameron.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so Matthew Sturgis for $4.99. Cameron, thank you for coming on. I got 2 of your books. Looking forward to reading. Thanks for being part of the Fandom Menace.
Well, that really touches my heart as an author. Whenever you hear anybody's actually got your books, and then actually everyone reads them, it means a lot to me. So thank you, Matthew, and I hope you like them, and I hope you'll post a review. And if you don't like them, please don't post a review, because it'll hurt my feelings. But if you like them, please post a review, and it means a lot to me. Thank you. And I guess I'll read the next one from Wild.
Yeah, actually, the next couple ones are straight directed to you. So please.
Yeah, I can't see an economic number on this, so I'm just going to read what I have here. Wild Qatar. Any news on your TV series pitch? You said you were working on a Game of Thrones-esque story about the wives and concubines of the Ottoman Empire and how they affected the world. Yes, I am. That's actually the primary project on the plate. I've got a few things, but it's a project that's set in the 16th century in Ottoman Turkey and in Eastern Europe. And it's true story of the first queen of the Ottoman Empire, who was a slave girl. She was a Ukrainian slave girl who was captured and sold to the harem of the Ottoman Empire. And she ended up being this harem of 300 women. And she outsmarted all these rivals and ended up winning the heart of the Sultan and becoming the queen, and then getting revenge on everybody that messed with her, right? So it's a really interesting story.
Wow.
I've been working on this for some time, and we sold it to a studio last year. And the great thing that I can't yet reveal the name of the person, but I'm very delighted to say we've attached a director, an important director, to the pilot, and now we're just waiting to get all of the directors, pitch material together. Then we're hopefully going to go out to the market and hopefully sell it to a network, God willing. So I think it'll be a cool show. I think a lot of women will like it because it's a chance to see again, these aren't women in the way Hollywood thinks of it, because they're slaves in a harem, but they actually are able to control an entire empire through their machinations and outsmarting the men. And so it's going to be a very interesting dynamic.
That is so insane. Well, we're gonna leave you, we're gonna let you forge forward here at the super chats, because this next one's directed at you too. So,
what's the next one? I see now my internet is effing up, huh? No.
Oh, no,
All right,
no.
Gray Ghost. Okay, $10. Thank you, Gray Ghost. Hail panel. Hi, Cameron. Without naming specific projects, if you can't, have you seen any film shows do things like alter greenlit scripts to make a male lead female instead, due to order from above? I've seen that from the very beginning of my career, 20 years ago. I saw that when my first break was working on The Twilight Zone on UPN with Forrest Whitaker as the host. That was back in 2002. And one of the first things we did, we spent all week trying to get this script ready for this, the Twilight Zone. So you have this cool thing, and we wanted to do a riff on the traditional Twilight Zone, the very famous, Scary Doll episode, which I think Telly Savalas was in it, right? We wanted to do a version of that. And then we had the son of the person that directed that original thing was now a director. He was going to direct this episode, so to continue his father's legacy. And we handed the script in, and the bosses, the network came back and said, can you just make the lead character a woman? Well, it kind of changes the dynamic of the entire script. They're like, no, you can't just change the name to Jane, right? It's actually a different character if it's a woman. So they told us the day before filming, because they had found an actress they really liked, and they're like, we're just going to give you the role. We're like, well, we didn't write this for her. We can write her something else. Like, no, you're going to get this to her. I'm like, and what do we do? And so we literally stayed up all night as a group and rewrote the entire script till about 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning as a woman. And then we handed the script in. We all went to bed at 5 a.m. We came in at noon the next day, only to find out that they didn't close the deal with the actress, and they wanted to go back to the male script. So we just wasted our time, right? And so that's the first thing. That was 2002. That wasn't even a political agenda. That was just they had an actress that they wanted to give a role to, because that was what casting liked. And now, 18, 19 years later, now there are politics of that, of scripts where you're being told, no, we need to make this character not just female, we need to make this character of X, Y, or Z race. And it's coming as directives for diversity purposes. Look, I'm a brown dude. I'm a Muslim guy. I ain't exactly the majority of this culture, right? And I love to see those stories, but they got to come authentically. When they're coming as a corporate directive, it's not usually authentic storytelling, and that's the struggle.
right. Yeah. Oh my God.
This sucks camel dicks!
Can I say this? Yeah, Camel Dick was one of the names I was called in 5th grade. So
What?
Are you serious?
Yeah, you sent me back.
I was just saying it because shit sucks, but no.
Oh my.
So just as a reminder,
I'm sorry about that.
He's had his ass kicked in his life. So yes, Camel Dick was just sent me right back to Ms. Matheson's
Sorry about
class.
that.
Oh,
Not my
man.
intention at all.
No, it made me laugh because it shows Will hasn't seen that much.
That's horrible. I'm so sorry. Jesus.
It is what it is.
Shame on you, Tom.
Mhm.
I'm working as a screenwriter. They're out there doing that. Whatever.
Look what you did, Tom.
Chrissy, that's cancel, Tom.
Cancel Tom. Get it, chat. Cancel.
But you don't say that.
Willie Woodward for $2 says, Mary, you're entitled to your opinion, but it's wrong. Look, Willie. I realize that you don't want your mysticism messed with when it comes to Star Wars, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's a story about space with it's for children. I'm not going to do that, okay? What I am going to say is that I don't think midichlorians remove the mysticism as much as everyone seems to think they did. So I will probably be working on an article here for D&D.
I want to support you on this. As someone who was converted to being okay with midichlorians, I didn't like them when I first saw them, right? Or first heard about them. And it's because I'm a student of religion, and he based the Force, Lucas based the Force a lot on Taoism. And if you study it all, ancient Chinese medicine, if you just study ancient Chinese Taoism, you know, they actually have a lot of science and a story behind how the Tao works, right? And there's all kinds of energy things about how the Tao works, and there's energy channels in the body. And, you know, can modern scientists find those channels? They can't. Yet it seems to always work when they do these rituals. And so there, as a civilization advances, people try to find ways to create terminology around mysticism. That's what that was.
Imagine for 2 seconds that we're functioning within the galaxy far, far away that is as advanced as we see. And they never made an effort to try to quantify that in any way, shape, or form. Are you nicking the head? Of course they did. Of course they did.
They're going to try to make sense of this and make a science out of it. Absolutely, because that's all they can do.
They didn't actually make a site. The closest they got, and like I said, I'll do an article. I'm not going to go off onto a huge rabbit hole. But what I will say was the closest that they got was the ability to say, okay, if you have this much of this thing, you're far more likely to be powerful in the Force. That's the closest they got. They didn't quantify the Force. They got close to quantifying connection to the Force. And those
they found a correlation. They found a correlation in the physical realm.
Yes.
Which mystics will see, you know. Mystics will say, oh wow, look, there, you know, people do that now with various kinds of photography that show auras and whatever, right? Energy fields you can quantify.
What makes no sense is a civilization that advanced that never attempted to do that. That makes no fucking sense.
The fact that we're still talking about it proves it's a bad idea because the fucking Force worked right after that. Nobody questioned it. Nobody needed an explanation. Midichlorians just made it stupid. Now move on.
Yes, my master. Are you done mansplaining?
Did you need the Force explained to you? All Yoda had to say was it penetrates us, it combines us.
Thank you very much.
You can't say master anymore, Mary. That's been canceled.
You can't say that.
Primary. You have to say primary now.
Yeah. So Jedi primary. You can't say Jedi master anymore.
Oh God, stab me in my retina right now, please. So Lorena,
part of that is the effort to control language to hide hierarchy. It's the very people that are actually the masters of our society that want to keep us as slaves that are controlling our language, so we can't even discuss that dynamic of hierarchy that they are using to control us. That's
it's really interesting how Disney on the one hand sort of condemns it, but at the same hand is sort of kind of whitewashing it, like, oh, it's not really that big a deal though. It's just those individuals. It's just the back. There's the corporations aren't actually like I could get into a whole big old spiel about that, but I won't. I think we're on Lorena. Lorena, do you want to read? Did we already read Christy?
We read Christy Kurtz. We're going to Matthew Sturgis.
Yeah.
But before I read that,
I think
I'm still.
We read Matthew's too.
Did we?
Oh, we did.
Thanks for coming on. I've got
two of your books.
Okay, so
DCV, DCV Titan. Okay, before I say that, I'm still going to say Jedi Master. I dare someone to say crap to me. Anyway, DCV Titan for a Canadian.
So what do I say when I'm talking about masturbation?
Nothing, because you didn't talk about that in Polite Company, Tom.
But it has master in the title. You brought it up.
No, I didn't.
You didn't call it primary bait then.
I can deal with that.
Anyway, the DCV.
It's very rare that I'm left speechless.
Cameron was not ready for this.
No,
be quiet.
Welcome to my world, Cameron. This is why Tom and I.
This is why these Midnight Tides guys get all they get all the scoops because they're down to earth dudes who people in Hollywood trust because they say stuff like that. All right, there you go.
That is the greatest lie anybody's ever said about me.
Oh my goodness!
I love this man. In fact, I love this man so much. I'm going to get rid of everybody else.
Yep.
I'm
I
kidding.
said I didn't want
Dust to the
And now I got rid of Cameron.
Okay.
I quit.
to.
Now I'm on the
Okay.
bottom.
I'm on top now.
I don't like being
so
on the
Christian, you
bottom.
read one, Christian. Come on, please read one.
DCV Titan, because I keep saying this name and I can't get it through yet. So, the
Here's a
DVC
story.
Titan for $2. Toxic femininity, worried about thing being jammed in.
Yeah, okay.
I said somebody okay, move on.
Hey, phrasing.
The casino for $2. Y'all are not gonna like what they gonna do to Boda.
Boba Fett.
Yeah, I got a bad feeling about that.
Well, I mean, what would be interesting is let's assume the Mandalorian dude isn't Boba and there's a new Boba Fett character shows up, right? I mean,
Boba Fett. It can't be Boba Fett. Boba Fett's dead.
yeah, but that's it. Well, who knows? Hopefully there's not. So Boba Fett shows up. He was in the Sarlacc pit getting eaten by acid. He's got to be pretty badly scarred. I mean, he's not good. I mean, he was supposed to be digested in there for a long time.
1,000 years.
1,000 fucking years. Boba Fett.
Yeah, and so at the very least, he's got some, some gastric.
I thought there was no coming back from that.
Boba Fett's the son of Jango Fett. We know his child story. All these flashbacks. It's not Boba Fett. It can't be Boba Fett.
Isn't it gonna be Barbara?
What?
I saw somebody put that in the chat.
I wouldn't doubt that the current that I wouldn't, and I'm being serious here. I would not doubt that the Kathleen Kennedy camp would want to say Boba Fett had a transsexual operation, and I wouldn't doubt that they would do that. I'm not so sure that Favreau, who I know has no problem with trans people, feels that that's necessary to the story. So I'm thinking he's going to stick to Boba as a guy.
Why would you do that?
See our faces.
I can just hear that pitch meeting going on.
Oh, I've sat in those pitch meetings. I've sat in those pitch meetings where I'm like, boss, okay.
But why?
You want to make the character trans? But that changes this, and this. It's like, shut up and do it. Okay, hey, whatever you want, boss. I want to take it. Whatever.
The question that everybody should keep whenever they go into these meetings, like right on the edge of their tongue, right on the tip, every single time, just the tip, right, is, but why? Right? That's all.
I don't know why. It's because we have a duty. I've heard that. I've asked that question. It's like, why are we doing this? Why is this character? I worked on a TV show. I'll reveal this. It's a show that's not on my IMDb that I'm very proud of because it never aired. It was a show I worked with Oliver Stone on developing a show about Guantanamo Bay and about the trials that are being held down there, right? So
wow.
It was incredible. And the reason it never got on the air was one of our producers was Harvey Weinstein. So that was done, right? And so it got pulled and Showtime never aired it, right? But one of the biggest passion debates I had with one of our writers who was, let's just say, one of these woke people, she kept insisting that the female lead character had to be African-American because she didn't want two white leads, even though we had Pakistanis all over, Arabs all over the show. Mm-hmm. But those two were originally written as white characters. But I was like, this character doesn't fit the kind of, character we've written as having been African American. She said, well, just make it a black woman that was adopted by white family, right? And I was like, that's another social issue that we, as Lorena,
how freaking insulting is that crap?
And I said, why are we doing this? I said, I'm the only minority in this room, and I'm telling you, we're just altering this character into an unrecognizable thing. Why are we doing this? And her response was, we have a duty. I was like, what? We have a responsibility as writers to change culture. I was like, what are you talking about? We have a responsibility to tell story. That will
not your job.
I was like, I'm on a show about Pakistani dudes who are being tortured in Guantanamo Bay. Some of whom are actually innocent. We're going to impact culture on this show. Why do we have to do this crap to impact culture? And they all were like, trouble making loudmouth Pakistani dude. Whatever.
Because they didn't take responsibility.
Oh my God, Christy. Coming in clutch. With that.
You did it with a straight face. I couldn't do it.
About time you fucking said something.
Kiss my ass.
What happened to Grits?
Not Grits.
Oh my God, she jumped to ass on that one.
I don't have the Della Reese clip to play.
I don't know whether to be offended or turned on.
Why not both?
The other funny thing that's going to come with all the people that were ramming that we got to do this because we have a social obligation crap that I've been hearing for the last 3-4 years, right? Is now suddenly because of recent events, suddenly now there's all this thing of you can't have, showing interracial couples, now demeaning the black experience, that kind of thing. For the last several years, every show I've been on is like the black guy's got to be with a white woman, right? You can't ever have people of the same ethnicity together because we got to progress society forward. Now they're like, well, we got to keep everyone has their own identity. I was like, well, you have all these characters now for next season. They're all dating people of their race. They're all going to break up and go back to their own ethnicity now. What are you going to do? I mean, they're all trapped. They don't even know what to do because the woke is so changing every 5 minutes. They can't catch up.
They keep pushing the freaking goalposts.
Yeah, I don't even know what the fuck's going on anymore. Am I allowed to have a biracial nephew now or not?
If you can't, I can't, because I have a biracial nephew and 2 biracial nieces.
Jesus Christ, Fenton.
Exactly.
Right.
Lorena can, but you can't marry because you're white.
Damn it! What am I supposed to
What
tell
about
my
me
nephew?
then?
Lorena's really good. She's got a good tan. She's got the tan that everybody wants to get to.
Thank you.
All the white people want to get to that tan.
I guess I'm gonna go to my sister's house later and let her know that I can't be her sister anymore because she has a biracial son, and I'm not allowed to have biracial nephew.
I'm just like, whatever. Can we just tell stories and naturally things will be? There will be interesting people. There will be white people together. There will be biracial people. Can we just tell a story and it'll happen naturally?
Because that's the story. That's all we want. We just want engrossing stories with characters we can relate to and just grow with. And that's
and Gene Roddenberry understood that in the start. He revolutionary. He had a Uhura, an African woman.
Yes,
you had a Russian dude. You had a Japanese dude. Nobody talked about it. Nobody mentioned anything about
it. They just did it.
Yeah.
And I would really have more respect if shows and writers just freaking did it and put it up there on the screen. Didn't make a big deal. Yeah, we did X, Y, and Z. And
well, so that was actually, I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with this particular show. It's called Ruby. It's an American anime. It's by Rooster Teeth. And it's so one of the main characters his name is Jean Arc, and he has like 7 sisters. And so they're going on their little quest or journey, whatever. They happen to get to the city where his sister lives. His 7 fucking sisters. It was altogether likely one of them was going to come out gay. Nobody says a word. His sister is gay. She has a wife. They have a son. No one says a word. They don't point at it. She just is gay, right? And it was some of the most wonderful representation I'd ever seen because it was so natural and fluid and it flowed so well with the story itself, right? And I was so grateful to it because for just a moment I didn't feel like a performing monkey. Right? I didn't feel like some circus freak. It was really wonderful because it just worked within the content of the story.
And that's the mistake they made on Batwoman, which is from the very first episode. They had to lambaste you. This is a woman and this is a gay woman. And it's like, well, actually, maybe I'm crazy, but I work with quite a few gay women in the industry, and we're not talking about it. We're just doing our work. I would think that that Batwoman is living in Gotham, which seems pretty modern. Nobody's noticing this at this point.
To these people, that's all you do all day long is talk about your sexuality, and then they'll try and say, "Oh, why are you so offended or afraid of having gay people in the movies?" It's always about straight people, and it's like, yeah, but you don't see straight people sitting there talking 24/7 about having sex with each other or how attracted they are to each other, unless you're talking about a movie like American Pie, which is far and few between. You know what I mean? Which there's already plenty of gay films like that.
But here's the thing: what do we talk about it? We love our entertainment and stuff like that. But what do? We go about our normal days. We go to work. We pick up the kids. We take them to school and stuff like that. And so, like Mary was saying, it's completely fine. I have several cousins who are gay or lesbian or whatever you want to say, but we didn't care because we talked about it instead of it being on screen and that being projected to us.
In some ways, we're fighting battles from the 80s right now. I'm like, didn't Will and Grace solve this problem like 25 years ago, right? I mean, didn't we get past this as a culture? It's a major culture shift. There was homophobia before. That's not so acceptable even in conservative circles anymore.
It was a good fucking show, and nobody gave two shits. It was how you normalize things, right? That's how you normalize stuff. Is you just go about telling the story itself.
Which we've been going backwards on, and this is the thing. And in many ways, the social issues that we're seeing today, with a lot of the conflicts that we're seeing, are the clock turning backwards, right? And Lorena, you've seen my post. Malcolm X would recognize the world we're in. He's like, yeah, it's the 60s all over again. I told you guys how it's going to play out, right?
All over again.
It was going to go back to this, right?
And I never thought that the types of things that my parents and grandparents talked about, things that they tried to build a better world at the time, would start coming back again. I never thought I would freaking see.
And now they're telling you we should have this world. Now people are saying we should have.
Like, this is okay.
Liberals are saying this. We need to give minorities a safe space to live by themselves. It's like, man, what do you? You're talking Nation of Islam stuff from 1961. Come on.
You guys can fuck right off. The first thing I do when I'm getting near Lorena is getting all up in her bubble.
And how am I going to meet Taylor Swift? I have to be segregated with brown people.
Can we actually say that on YouTube? I'm not sure.
I don't know. I don't care.
Did we just get canceled?
I hope so.
Are we still
Not
here?
yet.
Not yet.
No black screen.
Okay.
Holy fuck, Bob. We got some super chats here.
More super chats.
Culture Casino for $5 says, Tom seems to feel strongly about midichlorians. Cameron, what do you think about that element of Star Wars? Do you think it helped define the Force?
I mean, I've answered earlier. I came to it as I came to understand that this is what a very advanced civilization, which is the Republic, had several 1,000 years to try to come to understand this phenomenon that they could not understand, and at least codify it in some way that they could understand. And then when that civilization was wiped out with the Empire, that was lost. And so by the time of Luke, all he knows of it is this mystical energy field. Doesn't have any other data, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when I understood that that's the natural processes through which mysticism goes, it's woo-woo, it becomes scientific, and it becomes woo-woo again, then I was okay with it.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that. It would make no sense for a civilization that was that advanced to not attempt to quantify that. And so imagine a world where they hadn't bothered to try. That would make no fucking sense.
I mean, we're trying to do this now with quantum physics, right? We're trying to understand. Quantum physics is showing that, that subatomic particles do things that don't behave rationally. They can be at two places at the same time. They can go backwards in time. They can go through spaces, right? They can
it's some bizarre, spooky shit.
Exactly. So, spooky action at a medium is how I think, one of the great quantum physicists described it. And so you have this thing. We are trying to quantify, my Sufi masters that will call me and say, hey, that person at the office, is plotting against you. How do they know that's in a village in Africa? But I get those calls, right? So we got to quantify this mystical stuff. It's like, well, they're tapping into into the subatomic field, and information flows this way. We're trying to make sense of something that's happening that we can't make sense of.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think it damages it whatsoever. I'm not concerned with midichlorians because even then it doesn't fully quantify it. It gives you an aspect of it that they understand, but they still don't understand all of it.
It's the physical manifestation of what they're finding, but what's the energy behind the midichlorians? What's the truth of those? I mean, and that's where you go into the father, the son, the daughter, and keep going deeper into that.
Right.
Those are the hidden elements, the hidden realm of it.
Right. Absolutely. I agree with you, Hunter. See, guys, Cameron's on my side.
I still say that the fact that you guys have to sit here and keep explaining it proves that it doesn't work.
And I say the fact that you can't understand us explaining it proves you're
Oh, you think so, huh?
Does it matter that I just hear midichlorians and just pass the popcorn?
They're
Lorraine and mom and dad are fighting again.
Dang it.
Love you,
You're
Tom.
grounded for a week, young lady.
I'm grounded. Oh, hell no. You can't ground me.
I was talking to Christy, but if you want to be grounded too, then
We're all
I'm
grounded.
grounded myself to my
Grounded right now. We're all grounded.
It's okay, Christy. I'll bust you out.
My gym, I'm in California. I was thankfully back at the gym. I've been back at the gym for 4 weeks, and they closed the gym. So whatever.
No, I'm 18. You can't tell me what to do anymore. Also, can I have $20?
You still owe me $20.
I need the
God
20
damn
bucks.
it.
Pay you back for the 20 bucks.
And I ain't gonna see that. Oh my God, you're like one of my kids. Holy Christ. Where were we on these super chats and questions here?
Pass it over to Cameron.
So I know we got to get rolling here.
Yeah. Grey Ghost right at the bottom there, Cameron. Or the third one from the bottom.
You want me to go next or what?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Says the Dear Hollywood one.
Yeah.
Dear Hollywood, where's that? I don't see that.
You see it for
Dear
Grey
Hollywood.
Ghost?
Oh, yeah, I see it. I do. Grey Ghost for $5. Dear Hollywood, hire the Fandom Menace and affiliate channels as consultants on your franchises. They're not your enemy. You will make money. A best focus group. Well, you're not wrong.
You're not wrong.
And I will say that they are aware. I mean, the Fandom Menace had a real impact on Disney. It really did. You know, the fact that J.J. Abrams knew what it was, the fact that it got up to him and he was taking into account. They all know. They've heard of people like you. They've heard of Mary. They've heard of Abu Nas. They've heard of them. They know who these people are because they know they're influencing people to not buy their product. So they have to be aware of them, right? And so
I know they know who we are.
Yeah, they know your names.
I could have sworn it would have had, if they knew who I was, it would have had everything to do with the fact that I had a vagina. But, well, you know, it's cool. Whatever.
Well, they all know my name too. Like, this stupid guy won't shut up. This guy's I'm like a traitor. It's like, I shouldn't be out there. I'm the only one who's actually a working screenwriter who has a big mouth and is saying this stuff, even though all my friends all say this stuff to me.
Don't cork it. Don't cork it, please.
Yeah, like I said, I don't care anymore. You ain't gonna hire me anyway. You've already said I don't want that brown Muslim guy. All right, fine. I'm gonna say whatever the hell I want now. It doesn't matter anymore.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Oh, shit. And then, do you want to take this last one here, Christy?
Oh yeah, sure. Ben H for $2.50. Who do you want to see in the first Star Wars sex scene?
Thank you for falling on that grenade.
Jabba the Hutt and Watto.
No, what the fuck is wrong?
I was thinking of the weirdest shit I could think of.
I was just sitting over here going, Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt's not in Star Wars.
I don't care.
Pretty.
Put him in Star Wars. If you can chuck Brie Larson in there, you can stick in Chris Pratt.
Oh, now you just ruined my boner.
Sorry.
I personally, as someone who absolutely loves the female form and loves the blessing of sexuality, I think they should keep sex out of Star Wars. I think that
people
is something intimate. I think it's something intimate, and it's not that these are children's films; these are for adults, right? But I actually like the old-fashioned feeling that you're telling a story around a campfire, and not every part of the story needs to be told because some things are intimate.
No, in all seriousness, yeah.
Perfectly good. I think it's
Agree.
It's fine the way it is. Yeah.
It's kind of like we don't get to see him go to the bathroom. The only things that we have to indicate that there's sex in the universe is that Luke and Leia and their grandkids exist and shit or whatever.
Besides, that's what Star Wars fan fiction is for.
Well, it's
exactly.
It's not as if they never discuss that sex is a thing, right? Like some Jedi, like even though they're barred from having relationships, they're still allowed to engage in
George
sex.
doesn't like sex, okay?
That's a lie. Every man likes.
No, I'm pretty sure George Lucas does not like sex.
I think he's uncomfortable with sex. I'm sure he's had.
I'm pretty sure he does not like sex.
You need to get my little clip up here, Tom. The one where it's like, no, it's
when your wife calls you a cold fish.
Wow.
Lorena's face.
And not once, but several times. And she wasn't the only one to say that about him, so.
Lorena looked like she.
Well, people say Hugh Hefner was terrible in bed.
Damn.
Well, he didn't have to be good in bed. Hugh Hefner's a different story. Hugh Hefner's not George Lucas. Like, George Lucas is already fighting an uphill battle. He created the nerdiest thing on earth, and he's wearing a fucking flannel shirt from 1972. He's got an uphill battle and a half there.
He's also worth $5 billion. He does okay.
Oh, I know. I'm just fucking around. He's fine.
Why the hell did he never get a new shirt? You had to have been able to have bought a new shirt after all these years.
He doesn't
for the
care.
same reason Steve Jobs was always.
I was going to say he's a lot like those guys. Yeah.
You guys all heard about there was a mysterious suicide a couple of weeks ago of a Hollywood billionaire, or at least half a billionaire, Steve Bing. Who jumped out of like 27-story building or fell out of it. And so it was one of these mysterious things because he was sort of in the Epstein world or whatever. I met the man a few times. He was a Hollywood producer. He was bigger than Clinton World. He was worth like $500 million. He's the father of Elizabeth Hurley's child, right? And he was like a big playboy. Yeah. And so Steve,
That's Stephen Bing. Ooh.
Yeah, that's Stephen. So he died.
Oh, okay.
Like, you know, in this very sort of like the official word is he was depressed over lockdown and he jumped out of a 27-story window. Then people are like, well, he was also connected to Epstein and did he jump and whatever, who knows, right? And so I met him a couple of times at Hollywood events, and he's worth at least $500-600 million. And he was always dressed like in this ratty old t-shirt, ratty old pants. Like these rich guys go out of their way to dress down. In some ways, they can walk down the street and nobody knows that they're rich. Like they don't drive, you know, Mercedes around. They drive like little pickup truck so that people, you know, don't kidnap them and realize this guy's worth $500 million. Just grab him, right? But it's part of the culture of Hollywood that the richer you are, the more you underdress.
Really? See, I think I would just underdress just because, you know, comfort levels, and also like my dream car is like an old pickup truck that's literally just a stick shift and has problems getting up hills. Like that's literally my dream car. But like I guess like my main thing with George Lucas is not that he wears flannel, but could he get a different flannel? I'm pretty sure that's the same fucking one he was wearing. He was shooting
same color.
He shot the
couple colors so you can rotate, you know,
just
green, red, blue.
When you look back at all the old pictures, he's wearing like they're in black and white or whatever, so you can't tell what fucking color they are. So it just looks like he's wearing the same fucking flannel shirt from 40 years ago.
I wonder if that's a recent thing. See, now I'm going to go back in my stack of sci-fi magazines from like 20 years ago.
Shirts, he's right. Mary's right. You go back.
It's the same shirt.
Wow.
Trust me, it's the same shirt.
You just put a blazer over top to cover the armpit stain.
Yeah, that's all you gotta do. You recycle the shirt. It's kind of cyclical, it rhymes.
Oh my god.
I'm still tripping over his wife calling him a cold fish. Dang.
All right. Lorena, do you want to get the
I got a new wife.
Matt G here?
Yes, Matt G for $1.49.
We made a baby through science.
It's a white unicorn with rainbow hair.
The Doomicorn. You gotta say the doom doom doom. Do it.
Doom doom doom.
I got a narrow urethra.
Like Hank Hill?
Yeah.
Excuse me,
If
George.
I want to be on a video with a lot of beautiful girls, I don't need references to our anatomy all the time. You know? We don't talk about our anatomy. We just don't.
It's a part of life, Cameron. It kind of rhymes. It's all like poetry.
Christ, Tom.
Okay. Jar Jar's the key to all this.
I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. Mexican Iron Man for $14.99 says, "Hail to the brilliance of diversity that is this panel. Inshallah, that brother, Mr. Pasha, will be a regular monthly guest. Toxic Femininity rocks," and Mexican Iron Man says, "A-OK to the VIP panel." We love
Mexican Iron Man.
And hey, do me a favor. Be on the lookout. I will be like, this is probably not the right place to do this, but whatever. Keep an eye out for the Patreon stream chat.
See, I can laugh with the people.
Stop it, Tom. You're making people uncomfortable.
Was it that when I'm supposed to laugh?
I don't know. No, that's not.
I don't know how to people
laugh
very well.
I don't know what to do with this man. 20% of the time we're okay. But the rest of it, I'm just like, do I tell?
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
That. So.
Yep.
All right. Can I ask one last question of Cameron? I know you want to wrap this up, Tom, and I'm with you, and I know we've been going a while, but I have one more question for Cameron.
What's up?
So, having working in the industry and knowing sort of ins and outs, what advice is it that you would give to the fan base when we're engaging with Lucasfilm and all of the subordinates and everybody underneath that banner about how is it that we get what we want from them? How do we convey critique without coming across as though you can never please us?
Well, one of the things that's weaponized against us is, there's always a small fringe minority in any group, including the people that don't like The Last Jedi or Lucasfilm that went to like stupid tropes about women and all this stuff and whatever. You don't need to have that kind of conversation. Let's keep the critiques about storytelling. Let's not give these people any weaponry that they can be used to call us misogynist, sexist, homophobic, whatever. Let's just not give them anything. Let's be very professional in our we can be passionate. I think everyone on this panel has been passionate about their opinions, right? And that's how you get across, because you don't want to give the Kathleen Kennedy, cabal any weaponry to say you can't listen to Mary Mayhem because she's not a serious person, and you don't. I just had a conversation with a director that I'm working with that there was a major star that we were talking about potentially attaching to our project, and that star had put out some very questionable tweets over the weekend. And that was enough to end the conversation for the studio. They didn't even want to talk to the star anymore, right? And it's just like, so let's just be careful. Look, I'm not always careful on social media. But we have to be, if we want to have an influence, we have to be aware that, and we are winning right now. People like Favreau and Filoni are on the rise. Lucas is back in the discussion center of it, right? And so let's now act like the gracious victors and assume things are going to work in our direction. Let's no longer have the victimization that we're fighting the man. I don't think we're fighting the man anymore. I think the system is with us. So now let's start taking advantage of that in a positive way.
I've always been a big fan of the sort of the dialogue, the discussion, right? That when you're talking to a reasonable person, you need to be reasonable yourself, right? Because that's how you make headway. And I believe that that's true of most fandom ministers, and that we all have this sort of, we have just the goal of, we want our content to be good again, and that's really the goal here, and that we'll be pleased once that's the case. And I'd love to turn my channel into one of those channels where I'm sitting there praising the new content, and I'm excited, and I'm buzzing with everybody, and I'm reporting on the wonderful things that are coming out. I would love for that to be what I can put out there. But as it stands, it's not where we're at just yet. But what I can do, and what I would hope that most of you guys take away from this, is that what we can do in the meantime, while we're sort of going through this hopefully transition phase here, is to kind of keep your heads on your shoulders and really survey who it is you're engaging with, and whether or not this is a rational person who is trying to have a discussion, or a jackass who wants to goat you and bait you. And there is a difference. And have a head on your shoulders, and don't necessarily always pull your pitchfork out, because it might not be the time.
Yeah.
So I'll be quiet now. Tom!
What did I do now? I was letting you have your moment.
I'm done. I don't want to talk.
Oh,
Letting you have your moment.
Leave me alone.
I don't think anyone lets Mary do anything.
I think we've held on to Cameron long enough. I want to thank Steven in the chat for being a hell of a wench tonight, kicking ass and taking names.
Yeah.
And of course, I want to thank Christy for coming in shotgun here. We appreciate it, or substitute, however you want to look at it. And Cameron, thank you so much for joining us. It's been enlightening, and we love talking to you. And I'm sure we'll have you back again real soon. And it's always a pleasure. And thank you for showing up.
Did I do it the right way?
Yeah.
Close enough. You're sticking your finger up his nose. It's good enough.
Apparently, my eye rolls. I saw a few of that in the chat. They're like, Christy has epic eye rolls.
Oh yeah, some of the faces you make sometimes are just priceless. But I want to thank everybody for the super chats and the support. Do check out our links in the chats below the description for all your needs, as far as the ladies on the panel for their YouTube channels, how to help us out here to get yourself an awesome ass t-shirt. That's right, they come in tees, and we also have hoodies. So, and I think there's also tank tops and stuff like that. So,
Tom, why don't you model these?
Why don't I model these? Because we don't want people to run away, and we actually try to sell them.
Poop mouth.
Tom, I'm going to diva it up if I don't get to do my outro tonight and throw my whammon card for Cameron.
All right. We'll start with Christy. Christy, tell everybody a little bit about your channel and where they can find you.
I hate this part, but hello, I'm Christy. My channel is According to Christy. I do live streams, I do movie reviews, and really just talk about anything and just try to keep the conversation as fun as possible. So check it out. There you go.
All right. Lorena, tell the folks about you, where they can find you, and all that good stuff.
Hey, everybody. I'm Lorena Creole on Twitter and Lorena Creole on YouTube, bringing that spice to sci-fi and pop culture analysis. My channel a couple of days ago, I dropped my review of Hamilton, so please go and check that out. I'm on a ton of freaking live streams. This one, TR5 on Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. on author Stephen Walton's channel, Fandom Menace with Mary Mayhem every month or so. Thursday at 7 p.m. on This Week in BS on Justin Proper's channel. 9 p.m. for the Queen's Council with Christy, and I don't know whose channel that's going to be on. Cameron was actually on one of the episodes of the Queen's Council, so that was also epic. You can also find me on Saturdays at 7 p.m. for Rogue Entertainment, and I also live stream on Sundays at 8 p.m. Coincidentally, next Sunday at 9 p.m. on my channel, we will have an epic combined panel of the women and gentlemen from Toxic Femininity and the panelists from Rogue Entertainment. So it is going to be an epic evening next Sunday at 9 p.m. on my channel. Thanks everyone for coming. And as usual, love.
Do you even have time for your own channel?
Barely, man.
Right? Culture Casino sent in $2, says best toxic femininity ever. Thanks, Cameron. That's right, Cameron. Thank you so much for coming in. Now, Mary, tell us a little bit about yourself and where we can find you.
Well, hey guys, I am Mary B. I am the Mistress of Mayhem, disruptor of the narrative, and official Whammon card holder. You can find me over at my channel, Mary Mayhem, where I talk about newsy news stuff during the week. You can also find me over here on Toxic Femininity Monday nights, as well as Geeks and Gamers. And I just hit 8,000 subscribers. Woo woo!
Congratulations.
Yes, covering Amber Heard and a lot of other Johnny Depp stuff. So feel free to go check all that out on my channel.
I'm all Team Johnny. If anyone follows me on Twitter, I'm all Team Johnny.
I have been since the start.
Yes.
Catherine Robert April, yes. Candy is home with the new baby. They're doing well. As far as you know, she's itching to get back here, so we can't wait to have her back, of course. We miss her very much. Cameron, is there anything you're working on or anything you'd like to plug or tell the folks where they can find you?
Well, I mean, I've mentioned I've got a few projects that I'm developing for one on the Ottoman Empire. I'm hoping I'll be able to announce them in the near future. So anyone who wants to send positive beliefs, prayers, send in the midichlorians, whatever you want to send me, I will take them for their success. Anyone who wants to follow me on Twitter, it's my name, Kamran Pasha. I have a YouTube channel that I don't really put much on. I just posted a couple of short films. Hopefully I'll be uploading more of those sort of creative endeavors on it, but it's just my name, Kamran Pasha 72. So on Twitter, I tend to lock it every now and then because I get a lot of weirdos coming at me recently. And so if it's locked, just send a friend request and I'll just make sure that you're not a weirdo and I will accept it. I had
to get through that the other day with you. I was like, let me follow.
Okay. I had to do that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of, because I'm very outspoken. And recently with events of, that have happened on the show that I worked on with the show Inspired, I'm getting a lot of very intense comments from people that are on various sides of that. So I'm trying to keep it under control.
Word.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, folks. Once again, I want to thank you for sticking with us on this Monday evening. We love you guys so much. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be able to do this. We did get this Mexican Iron Man super chat, right?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to double check and make sure. My brain is like dead to the world. I am so sorry. I've been up for almost 24 hours now.
I'm sorry. I delayed it, Tom.
No. I wish we could go on longer, but I don't want to keep Cameron any longer either. So, again, thank you everybody so much. And thanks for joining us. See you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel here for Toxic Femininity.
Proving that the Fandom Menace isn't just toxic white males. It's toxic femininity brought to you by Midnight's Head.